West here, reporting from Houston, Texas for Climate Desk. Now, one of the biggest uncertainties in climate science right now is the role of clouds. What better way to work that part out than flying right through them? That's what NASA scientists aboard this airplane think. Welcome to NASA's biggest airborne laboratory. You're coming with us today on an 8-hour NASA flight mission.
When you read these big IPCC climate assessments, what's the biggest uncertainty? There's two, right? The role of aerosols and clouds. Clouds is probably bigger than aerosols.
That is a piece of a puzzle that right now we are missing.
You can't get the models right if you don't understand the chemistry and the process.
Now we're being told we've got to get on. The doors are about to shut, so let's go aboard. Every time you turn on the weather, every time you hear a climate change prediction, that information has to come from somewhere. And it starts by getting sucked out of the air from planes like this.
So this mission is to particularly try to understand the emissions from the surface, so mostly biogenic emissions, so from trees and other plants.
Right now we're flying to our very first part of this experiment on the DC-8. Over Arkansas, there's a particularly pungent bouquet of emissions that scientists are interested in measuring.
Well, these emissions lead to both aerosols and to molecules that both destroy and create ozone. So these are very important things to understand for climate studies.
How it will manifest itself, it will be in more accurate and more reliable predictions.
So what we're doing is taking a series of flyovers, each at a different level of the atmosphere, scooping up those emissions, testing them, and hopefully scientists are going to see exactly what's in this column of air all the way up.
The data that we collect in one flight can keep busy 60 scientists and students for 3 years, 4 years. We're still studying data from data collected 20 years ago.
In fact, this particular mission today is its most heavily equipped in its nearly 30 years of service. Each one of these consoles here is a specially equipped scientific instrument designed to collect all sorts of different data in real time.
And this instrument here tracks the sun.
We're looking at mist chambers. They're used to strip soluble gases.
This black line is the CO2. It's about 390 ppm right now.
We're putting these filters in the bags that we've got the aerosols that we trapped out of a certain amount of air. And so we're sampling up here about 150 liters a minute.
That ultimately flows back into the operational models. It flows back into what goes on TV every day.
Anyway, I got to get this sample going.
You do it. It's a busy man at work. We can't let him rest. Well, get this. We've just spent 2 hours crisscrossing this one cloud formation. In, back out again, back in again.
Then they grow, and we track them as long as we can, and then we let it go.
Even one cloud can hold a host of answers to the mysteries of climate change.
The patterns of, where the clouds are, what type of clouds we see, what kind of weather systems they're associated with it, that'll all be shifting in a shifting climate, in a world with climate change.
Then the big spark is this, is when we actually get the meat on the grill. And then it will be some time to process it.
What the frack?
What the frack?
What the frack?
What the frack?
President Obama, are you fracking kidding me?
Reopen the EPA studies. In Texas, Wyoming, and Pennsylvania.
Fracking pollutes our oceans.
Fracking poisons our water.
Fracking makes climate change worse.
Fracking relies on toxic chemicals that cause cancer.
Ban fracking now.
Ban fracking now.
Go on. Ban it.
Ban fracking now.
Please.
Okay, what do you say, friends? Have you heard about Bernie Sanders? The big news. Oh, my God. Bernie Sanders racking up over 1 million contributions to his presidential campaign, racking in $24 million, almost as much as Hillary Clinton has raised with all those big donors of hers, and Bernie Sanders with over 650,000 individual contributions. Can you believe it? Well, you know, there's a lot in common with the Bernie Sanders campaign and Free Speech TV because, like Bernie, we don't have the great big donors, no corporate money, no Koch brothers, no government money. We've just got you, all individuals who give whatever they can, little contributions, whether it's $5 or $30 or $100 or whatever. That's what keeps the Bernie Sanders campaign going, and that's what keeps free speech going as well. So this is it. Right at the end of our pledge drive here for this fall, your last chance to give. So do them both. Give to Bernie and give to Free Speech TV as generously as you can to keep us going, to keep this great partnership going, to keep us on the air. And remember, if you can help us with $30, we will send you an Bill Press Show Eco Journal and a pen set to go along with it. If you can help us with $60, that's just $5 a month. Think of it that way. Send you this great stamp. Ben Cohen from Ben & Jerry's. He loves this stamp. He showed us how to do it the other day. Corporations are not people. You put it on your dollar bill just like that. If you can help us with $120, we'll send you a copy of Lawrence Lessig's great book on campaign finance reform called Republic Lost. For $240, that's $20 a month to make that pledge, and we'll send you one of these beautiful little Free Speech TV bears, plus a button set. These are great. 10 buttons for all your favorite shows on Free Speech TV, one for each, including the Bill Press Show, of course. And for $30 a month or $360 pledge, we'll send you the whole enchilada, the Free Speech TV bear, the 10-button set, the stamp, Corporations Are Not People, there it is, and a copy of Lawrence Lessig's book. For a very special treat about it for you and for us, help Free Speech TV with $1,000. Come to Washington, our nation's capital, and we'll help you get around, and then Carol and I will take you out to dinner at one of our favorite places right here in the neighborhood on Capitol Hill, and come in the next morning and meet our entire team. So there you go. This is it. Be a Bernie Sanders supporter, be a Bernie Sanders contributor, and be a free speech contributor. Join our team here at Free Speech. We really need your help. The way to do it, go to the phones, make your pledge today at 877-378-8669, or go online to freespeech.org. This is your last chance. Don't miss it, or else, you know what? You're going to be feeling guilty for the next 6 months. We don't want that to happen. Thanks for your help.
Hey, Free Speech TV world, it's Mama and the Mooks here at the Stephanie Miller Show.
Hello. Good morning.
You know, the Seinfeld was about nothing. I think the Stephanie Miller Show is about everything.
A little bit everything.
Yeah, a
it's
little bit.
kind of everything like thrown into a blender and we hit frappe.
Right.
With wine poured in.
Right. Senators, fart jokes, politics, pop culture, entertainment.
Drinking.
Random stray thoughts. It's what all the hip kids are talking about.
Yep.
We have the smartest, funniest people in the country on this show, do we not?
We absolutely do.
Right?
Our sexy liberal army of callers calling every day to tell us all about it.
There you go. And some right-wingers that Travis particularly enjoys talking to.
They're my favorites.
Okay. You can watch us every weekday from 9 to noon Eastern or 6 to 9 Pacific, which is really early. But we still, we try to, we're still pulling in people like Rob Reiner, Lily Tomlin, Frangela, you name it. You can only get it here at the Stephanie Miller Show. Mama, Mooks, fancy celebrities.
And everything.
And fart jokes.
Free Speech TV.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
To get in the way before it happens.
To get a friend home safe.
And to not blame the victim.
It's on us.
To look out for each other.
To
not look the other way.
It's on us to stand up.
To step in.
to take responsibility.
It's on us, all of us,
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop the texts, stop the wrecks.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Good morning, everyone. This is The Bill Press Show. I'm Evan McMorris Santoro, White House reporter for BuzzFeed News. Now on the campaign trail all over the place. I'm running around the country, and it's nice to be back here filling in for Bill yet again. Always a great time to be here. It's always this has been a humongously big week.
Holy cow.
And we have got so much stuff to talk about and great guests to talk about it with. I don't even know really where to begin with it, but let's begin just by saying everybody who's here helping me look good. We got Ray Rogers screening the calls. We got Jamie is back there doing the board. Jamie Benson. We got a lot of audio we're gonna play. It's gonna be great. Cyprian's doing video. And of course, we have Peter in studio. Evan. Peter Ogburn in studio with me.
How are you, sir?
Good. I am good. I am. I really am literally overwhelmed by the amount of stuff we have to talk about today.
It's a lot of stuff going on. It's been a busy couple of weeks.
It really has. It's funny that just a couple weeks ago we were talking about, it's August and we're gonna have Trump. We're talking about Trump for a while. We're gonna have a nice quiet time. I think last time I was here, it was really just basically a Trump fest that we had.
It was a lot of Trump.
Wait, but that's all there was. It was that was what was going on. It was Trump and it was like ice cream. It was August. It was beautiful.
That's right.
And now it's just all this serious, heavy stuff. We're going to get into all of it, but I want to start out with just let's do the butt first. Let's do some headlines.
This is the full court press.
All right, so here's just a couple of other stories making news, by the way. So here's an interesting little story about a man named Samay Ved. He works with Google, and he says he stays up late at night, and he just looks around the internet, right? Like, that's just his thing.
Okay.
So he went and he looked to see if he could buy Google.com at Google's domain service, where you could buy website domains.
Yeah.
Turns out it was available. So he bought it for the low price of $12.
What?
He's a Google employee. He bought Google.com the other night, in the middle of the night, and it just happened to be just the right time. It expired, and he could buy it. So he bought it, and he went so far as to actually access the dashboard of Google.com. And, of course, because he's an employee, he didn't do anything bad. He told them about it the next morning. They bought it back from him. No word as to how much they bought it back from him.
They bought it back from him. That's nice.
They did buy it back from him. I'm not sure if he just, upped the price of what it would cost. If I was, you buy it for $12, you sell it back to him for $20,000. That's a pretty decent afternoon of work. But everything's fine. He didn't do anything bad. It's all good there at Google.
Gee, I mean, Google runs 60% of the planet at this point. They gotta get on it.
Yeah, right. Don't let Google.com
this
expire.
Is the worst sequel. This is like the worst sequel to like a Steven Seagal movie or something like that happens. Right? It's like someone's bought Google.com. They have to go in there to get it.
Yeah, right.
But I'm saying this is such a silly mistake. I can't believe that.
It's really dumb.
All right. Well, I wonder who owns Microsoft or Apple.
Right.
I don't know.
Go try and buy it.
I don't have any good jokes for that. Okay, go ahead.
All right. In England and Wales, a new law passed earlier this week that makes it illegal for you to smoke inside your car if children are in the vehicle with you. They've been cracking down on smoking for quite some time in England and Wales, but this is probably the farthest that they've gone. The ban went into effect yesterday morning, and they said that there is a fine that will take place if you are busted with anyone under the age of 18 inside the car with a lit cigarette. The fine is $75 American.
Or 3 Googles.
The
fine is 3 Google.com.
Yeah, buy a couple Googles.
This would essentially drive traffic to a halt in both your and my home states.
Oh, my God.
North Carolina. He's from South Carolina. I'm from North Carolina. This would basically be the end of...
Yeah.
People be walking.
But walking everywhere.
People be walking everywhere.
Well, not far, but they'd be walking everywhere.
I hate to say it, but there's something nostalgic about getting into like a family member's car and smelling that cigarette smoke. Not that I want it, but it's,
I had several. I mean,
that's true.
It's a
my
memory.
aunt and uncle, when I used to go visit their house was like brown. The walls were brown from all the cigarettes they'd smoke. I'll never forget that smell.
I've always thought about that. Like, what must it have looked like and smelled like in like the 1940s?
Oh my God.
In America,
Everywhere you go,
like
airplanes.
Right, exactly. Airplanes is one that still blows my mind.
I know, right?
There was a time people just would light up on a plane and there would be like this tube full of smoke. Fire on a plane.
Yes.
The whole thing is absurd.
I used to be obsessed with the fact that airplanes used to have ashtrays.
Yeah,
like
crazy.
in the thing. I was like, what are those? Because it was I came up right as they were like getting rid of cigarettes on airplanes, and rightfully so.
Right.
I was like, what are these for? Yeah. No.
Although I have to say, I've been flying around a lot lately doing my campaign trail coverage, and they got rid of that light that says cigarettes now. I mean, the one that says Wi-Fi. I don't know what that was, but I was like, this feels like maybe we've taken a step back.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. No, not one bit. And here in Washington, D.C., we are obviously filled with many different memorials and landmarks, and one of the most recognizable will finally become a city landmark going to be commemorated by the city on October 30th. It was announced yesterday that the Exorcist Steps. The Exorcist Steps in Georgetown.
Yeah.
You've seen the movie, of course,
yeah,
where
of course.
the long steps. It was filmed right here in Georgetown. And so the mayor, she's going to show up. She's going to commemorate it as a landmark here in Washington, D.C.
And there's going to be artisanal pea soup sold.
Yes, right.
At the base of it. In the new D.C.
That's right.
Well, I guess that's nice.
So pretty.
That's what we need. We need some. We need some more stuff named.
I mean, I'm not against that. I think that's a cool one.
I mean, the inside D.C. joke will be like, I'm still not going to go to Georgetown ever.
Right, no, of course. No, you're not going to get me to Georgetown.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah,
It's nice
if I wasn't going before, I'm not going now.
It's nice they have it.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
I've heard about it, I guess. All right, well, I'm not really sure how to do these kind of, this is one of those things where it's like you have to be a real radio professional to do this kind of segues. But we've had now this week that has ended with a really sad event, but also a really poignant moment about how politics in Washington works, and just sort of this sound of kind of political desperation that I hear all over the campaign trail, and we hear all over Washington, that really is like defining, I think, what this campaign season that we're into is. And, of course, we don't want to just politicize everything having to do with these shootings. Yesterday in Oregon was another terrible one of these shootings. But there really is politics that goes with this entire topic, and it really it's straight through the entire thing from start to finish. It's all really political in terms of what the aftermath of these shootings are. Obviously, there are things that police have to do to investigate these things. There are things that mental health professionals have to do to try to prevent these things. There's things that we talk about security and safety at these public places. But when we're talking about the aftermath and the things that happen, we're talking about really politics. And I think that we can just very kind of easily step through the politics of yesterday and today when it comes to what happened in Oregon yesterday. So we're going to play some audio and just sort of go through what happened. So, of course, we had this terrible shooting. I believe 10 dead is the last thing I heard. Yeah. We don't know a lot about the shooter. It's not that important, really. We don't know a lot about sort of the circumstances. Not that important, really. But we do know that we have another situation where we have a bunch of dead Americans on our hands at the hands of somebody who was probably not in great shape in some way. And, President Obama, who, the first thing I ever did when I was a White House reporter, the first speech I ever covered was the day that the Senate failed to pass a gun control bill the president was pushing very hard after Newtown. And I saw on Twitter yesterday, Dan Pfeiffer, the former White House senior advisor, talked about how this was like the most passionate he ever saw Obama. And if you were standing in the Rose Garden like I was watching this, it was like Obama was like really upset about the fact that the Senate couldn't pass this bill. And so since that time, he's sort of taken this tack where he talks about this stuff. And it's the most personal speeches you're going to hear from this president. The most personal, sort of frustrated speeches you're going to hear from this president are after these shootings. And that happened again yesterday. We have some audio of Obama yesterday. He came out right when the national news came on. They wanted to maximize the news of this thing, maximize the president's sort of voice on this stuff. Let's play a couple of clips of Obama from yesterday.
Right now, I can imagine the press release is being cranked out. We need more guns, they'll argue. Fewer gun safety laws. Does anybody really believe that? We've become numb to this. We talked about this after Columbine and Blacksburg, after Tucson, after Newtown, after Aurora, after Charleston. We collectively are answerable to those families who lose their loved ones because of our inaction.
So the president, he directly said it, that we need to politicize this. That's his take. And you're hearing a person who he can tick off these things, I think, probably from memory. I mean, it happens all the time. He talked about how he gave an interview recently about gun control and like why his concerns about it not being able to pass. And then later that night, there was a shooting at a movie theater near New Orleans. So it's like this kind of thing happens. It just keeps happening. But so this is sort of the Obama stance is this idea that we've become numb to it. We have to do something. People have to get themselves motivated and push their representatives. So Joe Biden weighed in. So he talked. So Joe Biden, who was one of the guys who was in the Senate and the Congress the last time the Congress really did anything about guns, which was in 1994, around that time, a bill that Democrats passed and then felt it kind of led to their undoing in the 94 elections. But you hear what Biden has to say as somebody who's watched this topic for decades.
There is an overwhelming consensus in America on two things that are equally defensible. The Second Amendment and sane gun legislation.
And that's where we get lost.
That's it.
Somewhere in there is where we get lost. And I should say, yesterday was a terrible day to be online.
Yeah.
And to be on Twitter. Because, and I think everybody here agrees that we have a problem, right? Everybody on both sides of the aisle, I think we agree that there's a problem. There's a real problem with guns in this country. The real rub, the real disagreement comes from what do we do to fix it?
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing that interests me about this is that you talk about, this is exactly, I mean, these audio clips really take you through exactly what this debate is like, which you have the idea of you have poll numbers that show overwhelming numbers of Americans want to see increased background checks and things like that. And, a lot of these laws probably don't necessarily prevent these specific events, right? I mean, the problem is just part of this like longer going national conversation, and somebody, I don't think that we know exactly what to do in terms of preventing specifically these specific events. Like I said before, a lot of discussions have to happen on the ground of where these things actually happen. But you have this idea that there's a huge national consensus about this. Let's just do a quick hit on the campaign trail of what it sounds like on the campaign trail, because this is a perfect distillation of where we are. So Hillary Clinton, the frontrunner for the Democratic nomination, she came out and spoke. And, this is not a woman or a Democrat that's running the way Democrats have run on gun control in the past. I mean, she is not shying away from it at all.
I'm going to try to do everything I can as president to raise up an equally large and vocal group that is going to prove to be a counterbalance.
Yeah, so her idea here is because the way she understands the gun problem in terms of the gun legislation problem, as she understands it, is that you have the National Rifle Association and you have all this power in the gun rights groups. And she is going to try to, as every Democrat has their own sort of way to deal with this. Obama says you need to push your legislators, your legislators. Biden says, hey, look at the polls. Everybody's sort of with us on this idea. Clinton says we're going to need to build a counter NRA. But the fear of gun control is very powerful in American politics, as we heard from the sort of second place runner in the Republican race, Dr. Ben Carson, who was on the radio yesterday.
What I worry about is when we get to the point where we say we have to have every gun registered. We have to know where the people are and where their guns are. That's very dangerous. And that I wouldn't agree with at all.
So there we go.
I don't understand why that's so dangerous, first of all. I mean, we need to figure out where these guns are, where they're coming from, who has them.
Right. Well, I think the more important thing that we're dealing with there is we have the idea that some people see the idea of doing more background checks for safety, and other people still see it as immediately an affront to their liberty to have and do what they want to do with their own with guns that they're allowed to have.
Yeah, look, it should be very hard to get a gun in this country. I believe it should be one of the hardest things you have to do, because if you really truly believe in protecting your family, protecting your house, then you will go through the necessary steps to make sure that you get that gun, however hard it is to do. To have it be one of these things that, we need to open it up to where as many people can get guns as they want because that's our American right is silly. And that's dangerous. The idea of tracking guns isn't dangerous, as Ben Carson said. The idea of more people with guns is dangerous.
Well, I think the real important thing is just the idea of this, this is the conversation that we're having. We can't have a conversation if one side's saying, well, we should have some background checks, and the other side saying, well, what you're going to do is take all my guns away.
Right.
We haven't been able to solve that. So I wonder if I could just throw out, we have to take a break in a second, but we'll throw out the 866-55-PRESS is our phone number. And I wonder if the listeners at home could just, what do you think about this? Is it possible in the current political landscape to have a real conversation about gun control? Okay, is it something that we can do? Give us a call, 866-55-PRESS. We're going to go to break. We'll come back and talk to some of you if you call in. I'm Evan McMorris Santoro with The Bill Press Show. Thanks for listening.
Get social with Bill Press. Like us at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. This is The Bill Press Show.
Okay, what do you say, friends? Have you heard about Bernie Sanders? The big news. Oh, my God. Bernie Sanders racking up over 1 million contributions to his presidential campaign, racking in $24 million, almost as much as Hillary Clinton has raised with all those big donors of hers, and Bernie Sanders with over 650,000 individual contributions. Can you believe it? Well, there's a lot in common with the Bernie Sanders campaign and Free Speech TV because, like Bernie, we don't have the great big donors, no corporate money, no Koch brothers, no government money. We've just got you, all individuals who give whatever they can, little contributions, whether it's $5 or $30 or $100 or whatever. That's what keeps the Bernie Sanders campaign going, and that's what keeps free speech going as well. So this is it. Right at the end of our pledge drive here for this fall, your last chance to give. So do them both. Give to Bernie and give to Free Speech TV as generously as you can to keep us going, to keep this great partnership going, to keep us on the air. And remember, if you can help us with $30, we will send you an Bill Press Show Eco Journal and a pen set to go along with it. If you can help us with $60, that's just $5 a month. Think of it that way. Send you this great stamp. Ben Cohen from Ben & Jerry's. He loves this stamp. He showed us how to do it the other day. Corporations are not people. You put it on your dollar bill just like that. If you can help us with $120, we'll send you a copy of Lawrence Lessig's great book on campaign finance reform called Republic Lost. For $240, that's $20 a month to make that pledge, and we'll send you one of these beautiful little Free Speech TV bears, plus a button set. These are great. 10 buttons for all your favorite shows on Free Speech TV, one for each, including the Bill Press Show, of course. And for $30 a month or $360 pledge, we'll send you the whole enchilada, the Free Speech TV bear, the 10-button set, the stamp, Corporations Are Not People, there it is, and a copy of Lawrence Lessig's book. For a very special treat about it for you and for us, help Free Speech TV with $1,000. Come to Washington, our nation's capital, and we'll help you get around, and then Carol and I will take you out to dinner at one of our favorite places right here in the neighborhood on Capitol Hill, and come in the next morning and meet our entire team. So there you go. This is it. Be a Bernie Sanders supporter, be a Bernie Sanders contributor, and be a free speech contributor. Join our team here at Free Speech. We really need your help. The way to do it, go to the phones, make your pledge today at 877-378-8669. or go online to freespeech.org. This is your last chance. Don't miss it, or else, you know what? You're going to be feeling guilty for the next 6 months. We don't want that to happen. Thanks for your help.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop the texts, stop the wrecks.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
Good morning. I'm Evan McMorris Santoro, filling in for Bill on a huge week. He's left a very big, packed Friday for me to have to unpack. It's not exactly how I usually have to, just mess around. We talked a bit about guns before the break, and I asked you to call in and tell me if you think that it's possible to have a conversation about gun control in the United States with the current political environment that we are in. And it looks like somebody called in. Ike from North Charleston, South Carolina. Let's put him on there. Good morning, Ike.
Yeah, hey, good morning, Evan, Pete.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, time's up, okay? Australia, after the Port Arthur massacre, they've shown the world how to do this. We can tag these guns, we can insure them, we can make these gun owners go through the necessary things that they need to do. We don't have a problem with anybody owning a gun. They always jump to that canard. We're not trying to take your guns. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get control of the ammunition and the guns and get some of this excess mess off the streets. And I'm sick and tired of whether it's the NRA or the gun manufacturers that are buying the lobbyists that are buying our politicians. Enough's enough. I don't want to have to worry about my children or my girlfriend or my parents or anybody else that I know being shot and killed, which I have had happen. Enough is enough. And you responsible gun owners out there, as much blood's on your hands as there is on the NRA's hands. If you don't get in line and you don't help us, you're just as bad as the people that are doing these crimes. That's what you people got to realize.
There you go.
Yeah, thanks, Ike. That's the frustration I'm talking about. That's this is a real issue to a lot of people. It's really important, and and if people have really strong feelings on both sides of it, and it just seems very strange to me that there's no way to have any kind of conversation that has crossed over.
And you can hear, there's a real fear of something happening because it's become so real. There was another shooting in outside of Orlando last night. 3 people dead. One of the stories I read about this story in Oregon was there's a former, he's an Iraq veteran. He's been back here for a couple of years. This is the second mass shooting that he's been involved in like a couple of years. And that's just the world we're in.
And he
now.
wasn't having them over when he was overseas, I guess.
Right, yeah, right. Yeah. Right.
Well, all right. Well, this is the Bill Press Show. We'll be back after break. We'll talk more about this very busy news week. Thanks for listening. I'm Evan McMorris Santoro.
This is the Bill Press Show. Remember.
Hey, friends and neighbors, what do you say? Uh-oh, here we go. Yep, trouble right here in River City. Our pledge drive. We told you it was going to take 2 weeks. You thought it might be over today, but no. Here we are, which means only one thing. We didn't make it in the first 2 weeks, still about 100,000 short. That's what they're telling us at Free Speech TV, so we've extended a third week. And that means one of 2 things. We got a way to go here, okay? It either means that some of you out there just forgot. I mean, I know, best of intentions, you meant to do it, you just forgot about it, you kept putting it off, and then the pledge drive ended, you thought, and so you missed your chance. Well, no, you didn't. We're giving you another chance, but you got to get off your butt, do it today. Make that phone call, 877-378-8669. Go online, freespeech.org. Make your pledge today. So you're either one of those people who forgot, or worse, you're just a big slug. You're just a freeloader. You thought, oh man, let the other people do it. I'm just going to enjoy free speech TV, and I'm not going to make any pledge. No. We don't want that attitude. We're giving you another chance as well. No freeloaders in this business. No slugs. Get on the team. Be part of this great partnership called Free Speech TV every day. And you too, get off your butt. Make your pledge today. 877-378-8669. Remember, we've got to make $1,500 for this show alone. We need 15 of you to make that pledge for $100 today, and go to freespeech.org. And remember, we got some goodies coming your way for $30. We'll send you a Bill Press Eco Journal and a pen set. If you can help us with a $60 pledge, you get a copy of one of these great stamps that said corporations are not free speech, corporations are not people. For $120, a copy of Lawrence Lessig's great book on campaign reform called Republic Lost. For $240, that's $20 a month, you'll get one of these great Free Speech TV bears with a set of buttons, 10 buttons for all your favorite shows on free speech, and also a copy of Lawrence Lessig's book. For $360 or $30 a month, the whole enchilada, the bear, the 10 buttons, the stamp, and a copy of Lawrence Lessig's book. And we always tell you, if you can afford $1,000 to help Free Speech TV, come to Washington. We'll treat you like king and queen, or two kings or two queens, or whatever. Carol and I will take you out to dinner, one of our favorite restaurants on the Hill. You come in and meet the whole team the next morning. We'll get district donuts in here, and we'll have a good party. So help us out as much as you can. Remember, it's important to keep free speech on the air. Here's the number again, 877-378-8669 or freespeech.org. If you didn't already do it today. We really need your help, and thank you.
I grew up in the housing projects of Cleveland. I didn't even know that life could be any better than it was. Education for me has been a way to get away from the agony of what was normal life. I want to be able to impact the community, not just look back on where I came from, but to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop the texts, stop the wrecks.
The most valuable morning radio show, according to The Nation magazine. This is the Bill Press Show.
This is the Bill Press, the most valuable morning show.
According to The Nation magazine.
Today, it has, the value is taking a steep decline. Yes. Today, is Evan McMahon-Santoro, the guest host, filling in for Bill on a day that I would not. Don't sell your shares of the Bill Press Show today.
Oh, come on, you're doing a great job. We love having you.
We've been talking a lot about just sort of the big event on the news last night, guns, and how that affects American politics. We had a great call from Ike. We've got a couple more callers. We're going to take those calls. Let's just jump right in. Linda from Henderson, Nevada. I said Nevada right, Linda?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
Yeah. All right. What do you got to say, Linda?
Well, good morning. My comment is that everyone is concerned about the gun issue. Why doesn't the Democrats take up the issue and push for insurance? Just like you have to have insurance on your car, health insurance, there should be insurance on guns.
Okay.
That's an idea.
It's interesting. I mean, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about this is an interesting sort of political idea that goes off the sort of beaten path, which I think maybe is something we can talk about. I don't know. One of the things that we've seen about what she talked about insurance, one of the fundamental issues that's been going on here is this is, of course, also an industry with a lot of power, like a lot of industries have in Washington. And when it comes to things like lawsuits and settling lawsuits and being held responsible for misuse of firearms, the gun industry has been extremely good at protecting itself with laws, and that's and this is one of the things that it's nice to see. I mean, it's not nice to see it, but it's interesting to see it in terms of like how stark it is, because people need to know that a lot of industries are able to do that kind of thing in Washington, and the gun industry, because they're in the news so much, are just able to really show it off more than a lot of other industries.
I will say this about that call. We kind of find ourselves with this deadlock.
Yeah.
It's part of the problem here is figuring out how to break through that noise of the same arguments from both sides.
Yeah.
Something like that's an interesting idea. It's nice to have that out there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Something having some kind of conversation is good. We have another caller, and these people are up really early. These are all these West Coast callers.
Not sure if they're thinkers or drinkers, but we're happy to have them.
Yeah, I mean, or maybe both. Thinkers and drinkers.
Maybe both.
We have Jerry in Albuquerque. Jerry, good morning, or I guess good evening for you. I can't. What are you doing up, Jerry?
I'm on my way to work, actually. I'm an addictions counselor. I work at a methadone clinic.
Oh, man.
The point I wanted to make is the way that the gun lobby, and I guess our society maybe, reacts to the gun issue is the same way that an alcoholic or an addict reacts to their issue, and that we get the problem and the solution confused. An alcoholic will go out and create problems in his life, and his solution to that is, well, get drunk about it. A compulsive gambler goes out and loses all of his money. The solution to the problem for the compulsive gambler is to go back out and do more gambling and try to get the money back. We've got a terrible problem in this country with unregulated guns. Okay, and the gun lobby's solution to that is let's go out and get more guns.
That's right. That's. I think that's a pretty accurate depiction of the political debate that we are having.
Yeah.
I think it's really. I think people are really having. Maybe this is another one. They sort of have to reach a certain threshold. This is now, I think, the third most deadly now of these, after I think Newtown, then maybe there's a Columbine, then maybe this one, something like that.
That sounds right.
We're going to hear a lot more about this today, and we do have a presidential campaign going on, and having a presidential campaign with candidates. I mean, I mentioned Hillary Clinton earlier, and we played her audio, but Bernie Sanders, who actually has been criticized for some votes that he took that the NRA liked, and he also came out with a strong call for gun control as well. So Democrats of the past that oftentimes didn't talk about this issue at all, or back away from it, or kind of gave it some distance because of the idea that this is so polarizing. When Hillary Clinton's saying, I'm going to become president and I'm going to try to make a counter NRA, this is a different political space for the Democrats right now. And I don't know how it shakes out in the end, but I do know that people who are interested in this as a political issue should take heed of the fact that there actually is a real fight going on now.
Yeah. I've been working in talk radio for a long, long time now. Mm-hmm. And for the longest time, there was sort of a golden rule of doing talk radio, right? Don't talk about abortion. Don't talk about gun control. Because you're never going to break through. You're never going to change anyone's mind. But I do think the times have changed. I think that people are ready to have a conversation about it, even if it is heated and sort of boneheaded on both sides to not move or not give any leeway to the other side. But
yeah. Well, someone told me a quote yesterday. Adam Serwer, one of my colleagues at BuzzFeed. It wasn't his quote. I don't think it comes from somebody else. But he's like, look, we should debate tragedies.
Yeah.
And this is the thing that I don't really like, this discussion about the idea that we can't have conversations about this stuff. We need to, especially in forums like this. Like, look, this show, the city that we live in, this is a place for political debate. And the idea that we can't have debate, and I don't care what the debate is, the honest truth is the best thing to do is to talk about this stuff and figure it out. And what we do a lot these days is try to avoid these conversations because they're uncomfortable or they're politically dangerous, right? Or they're politically, risky. And now it seems that we're having these conversations, whether or not, like I said, I mean, this goes for both sides. I mean, look, you have the Republicans are talking about abortion. You mentioned abortion. They're having a big thing about that this week.
Yeah.
And the Democrats talk about gun control. These are issues where neither party sort of like muckety-muck types want this to be what the parties are talking about. But it's what the people are talking about. And it's good that now politicians are also talking about them in terms of having some sort of conversation about this stuff. So I think that's a good thing anyway. It seems like a positive development.
Yeah, I hate this idea that I saw this flying around a lot yesterday. Oh, we can't talk about this in mere hours after the tragedy, after it happened. It's like, why not? Especially when we have a mass shooting in this country every day, practically.
Well, also,
what are we going to do? Wait until tomorrow?
Right. Well, also, it's sort of like the idea, and I've always found it very funny, the idea that like there's a, like Twitter has this moment where sometimes, and I don't know if a lot of people, your listeners, are on Twitter. People who are driving to work right now probably have more important things to do. No. But Twitter has a thing where it'll be, super like silly about everything, and then like there's every now and then we got to be very serious. It's Twitter.
Yeah, right.
Like it's Twitter. It's a place where reporters beat their chest about how great they are and express their own insecurities. Like it's like you can do that whenever you want. That's my take on that.
It's good.
That's it. That's right. All right. Well, I think that we had a little bit of news. I guess we can talk about. We have some time before the next.
Yeah, you got about 2 minutes here.
All right. Well, let's talk about this because this just came over the wire, and I can't get to open right now. But the Pope has. Jamie, you have it. Oh no, I got it. Here we go. So this is from Reuters. Pope did not give unconditional support to clerk in gay marriage row. Pope Francis, of course, we found out this week, met with Kim Davis, the clerk of Rowan County, Kentucky, secretly, kind of. We had the secret meeting that her people, put it out, and her people said the Pope met with Clerk Davis, and it just shows that he supports her and stands with her. And it was interesting because for a lot of people who followed the Pope's visit and sort of viewed it as a sign that the Catholic Church was trying to sort of move away from some of its social conservatism towards something else, it was kind of a weird surprise for everybody. Well, it looks like now we have the sort of classic Washington walkback, but coming out of the Vatican.
He learned something while he was here.
Francis did not ask to meet Kentucky County Clerk Kim Davis, according to Reuters. It says that the Vatican spokesperson said she was one of several dozen people who have been invited to by the Vatican ambassador to see Francis. The Pope did not enter into the details of the situation of Mrs. Davis, and his meeting with her should not be considered a form of support of her position in all its particular and complex aspects, says the Vatican spokesperson. So there you go. That is about as walkback as you're going to get from a pope.
Yeah,
I would say.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so that kind of changes. It changes a little bit. This is another one of those weird stories that happened this week. That kind of it's everything's getting buried under all the news we've had, but this sort of popped out. The Pope kind of taking a step away from a visit that saw him embracing President Obama's climate change plan and kind of downplaying abortion and downplaying the Catholic Church continued skepticism of gay rights, to put it mildly.
I mean, he was very progressive in a lot of the stuff he said. The death penalty, talked about the death penalty. So this left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths.
Yeah. It says that there was another senior Vatican official who declined to be named. This is now we're like really full on walk back at this point. Said there was a sense of regret within the Holy See over the encounter, which sparked widespread debate in the United States. He added that Davis had been in a line of people the Pope had met at the Vatican embassy in Washington before he left for New York. The only real audience granted by the Pope at the Vatican embassy was with one of his former students and family. So now we have the idea that Kim Davis is just online, and they now regret doing it. So there's a little coda on another story from the week. I'm Evan McMahon Santoro. This is the Bill Press Show. We're going to take a break. We'll come back with our first guest, which we got a lot of really good ones. Stay with us.
Connect with The Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is The Bill Press Show.
single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine.
Virginia Tech.
Tucson.
Aurora.
Fort Hood. Oak Creek. Newtown.
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 How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
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 Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad.
As a friend.
As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 It's on us to stop sexual assault.
To get in the way before it happens.
To get a friend home safe.
And to not blame the victim.
It's on us.
To look out for each other.
To
not look the other way.
It's on us to stand up.
To step in.
To take responsibility.
It's on us, all of us,
to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Streaming live video right now at youtube.com/TawkrTV. That's TAWKR-TV. This is The Bill Press Show.
This is The Bill Press Show. I am Evan McMorris Santoro, White House reporter for BuzzFeed News, filling in for Bill. I cannot believe that we are nearing the bottom of the first hour already. We've really been cranking along.
Flies by.
And I've been, I've had to, we've all been in here flying solo. Now we finally get a chance to get some of these guests in here to help us out. So our first guest this morning is George Zornick, Washington editor for The Nation, who I recently heard declared this show the most valuable morning show.
That's right. That's true.
The most valuable radio show there is. Yeah. George, are you there?
Evan, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
Not so bad. Not so bad.
Are you? Are your hatches battened down for whatever remainings of Joaquin?
I am hopefully taking off tomorrow morning to go to Buffalo and watch the Bills game. So hopefully I will miss a lot of this.
I think you're going to be swimming to Buffalo, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the bigger disaster, Buffalo Bills or Hurricane Joaquin?
Hey, 2-1 now.
I know. I shouldn't say that.
Especially, living in this city.
Yeah, I can't
team.
really speak. I can't really speak.
All right, George. Well, listen, we have talked a lot so far this morning. We talked about some of the news that happened near the end of the week. We talked about the gun stuff that's been going on, with another terrible, shooting. We've talked about. We just read this story about Kim Davis and the Vatican expressing regret about Kim Davis. But maybe the biggest story in terms of the political world here in Washington has been obviously the resignation of Speaker Boehner in the House, and then the follow up, finding the new leadership, the sort of path to new leadership. and the sort of heir apparent, Kevin McCarthy, who we're calling him K-Mac.
K-Mac.
Kevin McCarthy of California, the current majority leader, he kind of like, I don't know what he's sort of blew it. It seems like everyone's kind of like mad at him, and everybody on all sides are mad. I mean, Democrats seem to like him now because he's this thing he said on Fox, and the Republicans are mad at him. So I wonder if you can just sort of help us out understanding what's going on with this Republican caucus in the House and what we've learned sort of in the post-Boehner retirement era here.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the folks who knocked John Boehner, particularly Republicans, are starting to realize maybe perhaps that he was a little better at his job than they thought. I mean, when McCarthy came out and said that the Benghazi committee was great, it was wonderful because it brought down Hillary Clinton's poll numbers. That obviously spoke to exactly what Democrats have said about the committee from the beginning, which was that it was a purely political ploy that was much less designed to find out what happened in Libya 3 years ago, much more so to ding Hillary Clinton. So it was sort of one of those things, I hate to use a cliche, but, a gaffe in Washington is when you accidentally tell the truth.
Right.
I mean, McCarthy was out there and kind of just said it nakedly and revealed a little bit of a lack of touch and skill that Boehner had, and Boehner was out yesterday with a statement trying to clean this up. But in any case, it certainly seems like McCarthy will be the choice because, remember, speaker elections are voted on by the entire House. So you're going to have a lot of the moderate Republicans and also presumably a lot of Democrats voting for him because they would kind of prefer the devil they know versus a more hardline conservative that some of the far right may prefer. So I think we'll see him get in, but the question will be how is he able to better navigate sort of this roiling, rebellious House any better than Boehner has? And I think the answer, as far as I can tell, will be no, and maybe he'll even be worse at it.
Yeah, I mean, one interesting thing about this is, the idea of the Republican caucus very divided on itself, and Boehner not being able to sort of prevent anything from happening that he doesn't want to have happen, not be able to sort of steer the caucus the way that people expected maybe when he got the job, because he's some of his old school Washington hands. One thing interested me about this was people like Jason Chaffetz and other Republicans jumped all over McCarthy right away, like almost as much as Democrats did. I mean, they were saying it was inappropriate and everything like that. What does that say about the sort of party unity going forward that we have already this Republican on Republican violence before we even have a new speaker?
Yeah, I mean, in some way, they kind of didn't have a choice because this was such a bad sort of exposure that he had made. But I think it's something that we've seen throughout Boehner. And the interesting thing is, a lot of it is, this is sort of a choice by Boehner and by the Republican leadership. The way that the House often has operated is that you find a consensus and you get to 218, and it might mean you get some Democrats and but you kind of mold together a coalition. The choice that Boehner made very early on was that was never going to happen. He was going to go for, the most sort of hardcore conservative bills, defunding Obamacare, the Planned Parenthood stuff. And that's the case when you take out all the Democrats, you really, every vote counts in your caucus. So what he's done is empower these far-right folks. I mean, if you look at the House Freedom Caucus, which is supposedly the big troublemaker here, and it is, it has caused a lot of trouble, but it's only 30 or 40 members. So you say, well, how is it that such a small group of people has such incredible control over what happens? Well, it's because the Republicans need every single vote because they're immediately starting off on most of these bills. There was no Democrats because they've got all these crazy riders in there defunding the EPA and whatever else. Mm-hmm. So it's a choice that they've made, and this Republican on Republican violence is only going to get worse when there's so much pressure on each member to go along. And it's a choice they could get out of. I mean, they could go the other way, but obviously there's no evidence that they actually will.
Sounds like not exactly a great job. No. A job that didn't seem very fun when John Boehner was doing it. At least he's kind of a fun guy with his Merlot and cigarettes and stuff. Kevin McCarthy, I think, has just that laid-back California style is, I think, it may be running into quite an issue. All right, George. Well, thank you very much. I'll tell Brady to follow you on Twitter at @GZornick. That was awesome for a first guest. I am Evan McMartin Santoro. This is the Bill Press Show. We have a lot more coming up, so stay around.
Okay, what do you say, friends? Have you heard about Bernie Sanders? The big news. Oh, my God. Bernie Sanders racking up over 1 million contributions to his presidential campaign, racking in $24 million, almost as much as Hillary Clinton has raised with all those big donors of hers, and Bernie Sanders with over 650,000 individual contributions. Can you believe it? Well, you know, there's a lot in common with the Bernie Sanders campaign and Free Speech TV because, like Bernie, we don't have the great big donors, no corporate money, no Koch brothers, no government money. We've just got you, all individuals who give whatever they can, little contributions, whether it's $5 or $30 or $100 or whatever. That's what keeps the Bernie Sanders campaign going, and that's what keeps free speech going as well. So this is it. Right at the end of our pledge drive here for this fall, your last chance to give. So do them both. Give to Bernie and give to Free Speech TV as generously as you can to keep us going, to keep this great partnership going, to keep us on the air. And remember, if you can help us with $30, we will send you an Bill Press Show Eco Journal and a pen set to go along with it. If you can help us with $60, that's just $5 a month. Think of it that way. Send you this great stamp. Ben Cohen from Ben & Jerry's. He loves this stamp. He showed us how to do it the other day. Corporations are not people. You put it on your dollar bill just like that. If you can help us with $120, we'll send you a copy of Lawrence Lessig's great book on campaign finance reform called Republic Lost. For $240, that's $20 a month to make that pledge, and we'll send you one of these beautiful little Free Speech TV bears, plus a button set. These are great. 10 buttons for all your favorite shows on Free Speech TV, one for each, including the Bill Press Show, of course. And for $30 a month or $360 pledge, we'll send you the whole enchilada, the Free Speech TV bear, the 10-button set, the stamp, Corporations Are Not People, there it is, and a copy of Lawrence Lessig's book. For a very special treat about it for you and for us, help Free Speech TV with $1,000. Come to Washington, our nation's capital, and we'll help you get around, and then Carol and I will take you out to dinner at one of our favorite places right here in the neighborhood on Capitol Hill, and come in the next morning and meet our entire team. So there you go. This is it. Be a Bernie Sanders supporter, be a Bernie Sanders contributor, and be a free speech contributor. Join our team here at Free Speech. We really need your help. The way to do it, go to the phones, make your pledge today at 877-378-8669, or go online to freespeech.org. This is your last chance. Don't miss it, or else, you know what? You're going to be feeling guilty for the next 6 months.
Evan McMorris Santoro. This is the Bill Press Show. We are at the end of the first hour, and what an hour it was. Great calls, great guest with George Zornick. We have great guests coming up, too. We're going to talk about foreign policy. We're going to talk about politics with a senior producer from Meet the Press. We're going to talk about politicians with Ben Terris. It's going to be great. Just stay tuned. I'm Evan McMorris Santoro. We are going to be back in the 7 o'clock hour with more great stuff.
This is the Bill Press Show.
I am your toilet, so how do you do? I take away your wee and the odd number 2. For a quiet moment, I'll always be there, bringing you troubles. You don't even have to care. Oh, think about the things you put me through, the things you put me through, that I've been through you. Stuff from your body I'll happily take, liquid or solid. say thanks to your Lou. If I wasn't there anymore, you can only imagine disaster. I am a lifesaver, and that is not a lie. Where I don't exist, thousands die. So next time you have to do a poo or a wee, thank the sanitary saints that you have me. When you think of all the things that I do, it's time to say thanks to your Lou. La 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 la. It's time to say thank you to your Lou.
Okay, what do you say, friends? Have you heard about Bernie Sanders? The big news. Oh, my God. Bernie Sanders racking up over 1 million contributions to his presidential campaign, racking in $24 million, almost as much as Hillary Clinton has raised with all those big donors of hers, and Bernie Sanders with over 650,000 individual contributions. Can you believe it? Well, you know, there's a lot in common with the Bernie Sanders campaign and Free Speech TV because, like Bernie, we don't have the great big donors, no corporate money, no Koch brothers, no government money. We've just got you, all individuals who give whatever they can, little contributions, whether it's $5 or $30 or $100 or whatever. That's what keeps the Bernie Sanders campaign going, and that's what keeps free speech going as well. So this is it. Right at the end of our pledge drive here for this fall, your last chance to give. So do them both. Give to Bernie and give to Free Speech TV as generously as you can to keep us going, to keep this great partnership going, to keep us on the air. And remember, if you can help us with $30, we will send you an Bill Press Show Eco Journal and a pen set to go along with it. If you can help us with $60, that's just $5 a month. Think of it that way. Send you this great stamp. Ben Cohen from Ben & Jerry's. He loves this stamp. He showed us how to do it the other day. Corporations are not people. You put it on your dollar bill just like that. If you can help us with $120, we'll send you a copy of Lawrence Lessig's great book on campaign finance reform called Republic Lost. For $240, that's $20 a month to make that pledge, and we'll send you one of these beautiful little Free Speech TV bears, plus a button set. These are great. 10 buttons for all your favorite shows on Free Speech TV, one for each, including the Bill Press Show, of course. And for $30 a month or $360 pledge, we'll send you the whole enchilada, the Free Speech TV bear, the 10-button set, the stamp, Corporations Are Not People, there it is, and a copy of Lawrence Lessig's book. For a very special treat about it for you and for us, help Free Speech TV with $1,000. Come to Washington, our nation's capital, and we'll help you get around, and then Carol and I will take you out to dinner at one of our favorite places right here in the neighborhood on Capitol Hill, and come in the next morning and meet our entire team. So there you go. This is it. Be a Bernie Sanders supporter, be a Bernie Sanders contributor, and be a free speech contributor. Join our team here at Free Speech. We really need your help. The way to do it, go to the phones, make your pledge today at 877-378-8669, or go online to freespeech.org. This is your last chance. Don't miss it, or else, you know what? You're going to be feeling guilty for the next 6 months. We don't want that to happen. Thanks for your help.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
To get in the way before it happens.
To get a friend home safe.
And to not blame the victim.
It's on us.
To look out for each other.
To
not look the other way.
It's on us to stand up.
To step in.
To take responsibility.
It's on us, all of us,
to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
Good morning. It is hour 2 of the Friday, the jam-packed Friday news roundup Bill Press Show. I'm Evan McMartin-Santoro, White House reporter for BuzzFeed, filling in for Bill. He has left us with just, 36 tons of news to go through. So we're going to do our best. I think we got through a bunch of stuff in the first hour, Peter, don't you think?
It's so much stuff.
And the second hour, we're going to try to go through more. We have with us Marina Koren from The Atlantic is with us in the studio, right? The Atlantic is right?
Yes, that's correct.
Good morning. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Are you feeling excited about the end of this week? Because this was the longest week on the history of planet Earth.
A little bit, yeah. I'm glad this coffee's in front of me.
Yeah, you got coffee there.
Hey, we have more mediocre coffee where that came from, Marina, so have all you want.
We've got a hurricane coming. We've got coffee here. We got a million things to talk about. We want to talk about some serious stuff with you, but let's talk about some other stuff first. So, yeah.
This is
Nailed it.
Full
Again,
Court Press.
nailed it.
Coming in hot.
Nailed it.
Coming in hot.
Nailed it.
Just a couple of other stories making news. Joaquin is almost here, the hurricane. It is a Category 4. Here's all the latest. Still in the Bahamas area. It's been stuck in the Bahamas for quite some time. They thought that we might be seeing some of the effects of Joaquin as early as Sunday. Now it looks like the East Coast is bracing for something on Tuesday. But as of 5 a.m. this morning, still hitting the Bahamas, Category 4, although it is trending east, away from the coast, which is good news for everybody. Events here in D.C. have already started to be canceled, by the way. I saw the Taste of Bethesda was canceled. Because of that.
Chris
Christie. No, you aren't. You might have, but you're not anymore.
Is the big vegan? There's a big vegan food festival tomorrow.
I think that's still happening. I think that's still happening.
The vegans are made of hearty stuff.
Yeah, I know. That's
hearty, soy-based stuff.
Chris Christie has already declared a state of emergency in New Jersey, and we don't know where it's going to go. We don't know what's going to happen. We're going to keep an eye on it here. We'll let you know.
I want to send a message out to people on social media before they get started with this. Please don't do what people did the last time this happened, which is like, oh, look at the forecast. Where's your forecast now? Like,
I know.
It's like, we don't want it to come in.
Crazy.
You know what I mean? Like, these guys are trying to predict it. Like, we don't want it to happen, so it's good.
Right.
So, let's
get
not...
ready for it if it comes, and if it doesn't, great.
I'm just going to pre-stand by the National Weather Service on this, because I don't need it, or NOAA, whoever the hell does it. I just don't want it. I don't want to see your cleverness about how it didn't go where you said it was going to go. Like, you know what? That's good.
I'm with you.
All right.
I'm with you 100%. Big news, starting February 24th of next year. That is the first date of the Iron Maiden reunion tour.
Oh.
They made it official. They have
Taste of Bethesda. Marina's going to go to that.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you know all this?
The Book of Souls World Tour kicks off in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, appropriately. On February 24th, vocalist Bruce Dickinson is back, and they have a few new members, but they say a couple of dates in case you're interested in seeing the Maiden. Fort Lauderdale, then to Tulsa, Oklahoma, Detroit, Michigan, Tacoma, Washington, and Los Angeles, California.
I gotta say, I think that Fort Lauderdale show or that Detroit show is what you got to do.
If you're gonna go, go to one of those.
Like what is it, Tacoma? Like
Tacoma, Washington.
No, what's that?
A dozen people will be there, and
like a nice like latte or something. No,
right. Yeah, the Maiden. Yeah. And are you a T-Mobile user? If you are, you should be very worried. It turns out 15 million T-Mobile users, which I didn't know there were 15 million
there's that many
users, to be honest. But 15 million users had their records snatched. It was a hack of credit the company Experian. They had all the information, and someone hacked Experian. So T-Mobile CEO John Legere told everybody, put out a letter yesterday, said, here's the deal. This is directly from his statement. These records include information such as name, address, birth date, as well as encrypted fields with social security number and ID number, such as driver's license or passport number.
Good stuff.
Additional information used in T-Mobile's own credit assessment was also hacked. Experian has determined that this encryption may have been compromised. So basically, every aspect of your life is out there if you're a T-Mobile user, so good luck with that.
I sort of feel like that we need to sort of like have a kind of like a Darwin Awards now for these leaks, because like your stuff's going to get leaked, it's going to get stolen. So it depends on where it gets taken from. I think gives you some credibility. Like, if you're, they hacked the New Yorker website. Like, oh yeah, so I got my stuff stolen. But T-Mobile ranks pretty low.
Yeah.
There's like, oh yeah, I got ripped off because somebody hacked my T-Mobile account. The worst, of course, being the Ashley Madison.
Yeah.
Just like, yes, I sat down and believed that there was a website that you could just sign up for.
Yeah.
Pay them $20 to delete you.
Here's all my information. Here's everything.
These fellows seem credible. So that to me seems like that's the, I think we need to do a new Darwin Award of things getting stolen. Of course, obviously, I think the very worst is people who worked at the federal government and had all their stuff stolen.
Yeah,
that's sort of the ultimate kind of like.
What if someone hacked like Ticketmaster to get all the information for people who bought Iron Maiden tickets? Like that might be the worst.
And did the Taste of Bethesda cross-reference.
Oh, poor Marina. Oh, she'd be so much trouble.
She's down and out.
One unlucky vegan.
That's it. No, seriously, this vegan festival is hardcore. I was reading about it on the internet. It actually looks kind of good. Like, I mean, it looks kind of fun. But I'm not going to go stand in a gale force wind. And eat tempeh.
Yeah, no.
But like, I would go to it other's. I think.
But in the privacy of your own home, you will eat that tempeh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I got no problem with vegan food. I'm just saying, it's really funny because everything all over the city is canceling, and then looking at their website, and they're like, no, we're not. Come rain or shine.
I like their resolve.
Yeah, right. Come rain or shine, we're juicing. We don't
raw energy.
We just don't care at all. All right. Speaking of juicing, Marina. So
what is this segue?
I don't know. We're all hopped up on here. So the Russians this week kind of juiced up their presence in Syria, right? That's a good segue, yes. Right? So here's a question I have. I am watching every Republican that I can think of at this point saying that at the end of this week, looking what happened has gone on with Russia and what's gone on in Syria, that essentially the American foreign policy under Obama has completely failed. Is that true? Is that right?
It's changing.
Okay.
I think because September has been an interesting month for U.S. policy in Russia. Like we're seeing a lot of ups and downs. We're seeing hints of reconciliation and agreement, and that's more than what we've seen in the last year. Like the U.S. posture has just basically been isolate, sanction, isolate, sanction.
Mm-hmm.
But then in early September, Russia started sending in troops and military personnel into Syria,
Mm-hmm.
and this put the U.S. on edge. And I think it was John Kerry who basically called his Russian counterpart and was like, hey, what's going on? I'm seeing these reports. Tell me it isn't so. But it is so. But then you're seeing that the U.S. and Russia have agreed to military talks, and Putin and Obama had their meeting for the first time in nearly a year. So you're seeing this huge break in U.S. policy. So I would say it's changing.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know what's going to happen next.
But so Putin is trying to sort of, the Russians are trying to sort of saber rattle here and show their strength, right?
Oh, yeah. And that was clear from Putin's speech at the United Nations on Monday. He was basically trying to position himself as the power broker in the Middle East. He basically said, the U.S. is doing it wrong in Syria in terms of the fight against ISIS, and I'm going to do it right. And he's already basically setting up this rival coalition. This past weekend, there was news that Russia had set up an agreement with Iran, Iraq, and Syria to share information about ISIS. And the U.S. was not given any notice about that. And it's another sign that Russia is kind of making, its own rival coalition in Syria to be like, hey, we're the ones here that are controlling the scene.
Yeah, I mean, I guess part of the question I have, too, around the politics of this is obviously people are using this as, they're really using what happened this week to really, to bludgeon the White House. I'm watching TV every day. It's like some new Republican, this proves everything was bad. Now, didn't the White House ask Congress for stepped up sort of presence in Syria? Didn't we almost have a congressional vote on that, but they didn't want to have it?
There may have been a red line, if I recall correctly.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Am I missing something that the Congress was involved in? They seem to be taking no responsibility. Do you think that there is some responsibility in Congress in terms of now that we're having this argument that maybe the U.S. didn't do enough or wasn't prepared, is it left a vacuum for the Russians to step in? Do you think that this congressional vote, do you think that didn't happen because they didn't want to do it? Do you think that sort of is part of this conversation or should be part of it?
It could be, but who could have seen, maybe this is a naive question, but who could have seen this coming and who could have seen Ukraine coming? Like when this was going on in 2013, Crimea was still Ukrainian. I don't think many people in Congress saw that coming. And I think it's interesting, Republicans are criticizing Obama right now, but they're also saying things like, well, we really don't know what to do right now. We're kind of out of options here. So, yeah.
Well, what are the options that are being discussed? What are we going to do, right? Because this is all happening now.
Yes, it is.
Or tap in, I suppose. I guess what we learned earlier this week, what they're bombing our allies or where our allies are in Syria, right? The Russians are doing it. That doesn't seem very good.
This is already the third day of bombing.
Right.
And so yesterday, U.S. and Russian military officials had a video conference, basically Skyped, to have these deconfliction talks. And that's basically a fancy term for let's coordinate so maybe you don't shoot down my warplane by accident because that would be really bad.
Yeah.
So that's the first step. And that's obviously a very important step because you have one airspace and two air campaigns. And Russia is not exactly known for its willingness to share and for its transparency. So accidents could happen, and that's what the U.S. wants to avoid. And Russia said that this is going to go on for about 3 to 4 months. So what you're going to have to worry about is civilian casualties. And if Russia strikes Western-backed rebel groups, does the U.S. go in and protect them? The Defense Department recently said, if we equip them, we should help them. But they didn't say how. So it's obviously going to be difficult to, the U.S. may want to protect these troops that it has spent money and time training, but they also don't want to piss off a superpower.
Right. We're not going to have we don't want to have an air war, I guess, over the skies of Syria. Do we have any sense, of what Putin wants in terms of a global sense with this stuff?
What's the end game for him?
He is poking.
Isn't that the question?
So in Ukraine he was poking NATO very strongly, right? And now in Syria he's poking the United States basically. Do we have any idea sort of what his plan is here?
Well, I think he's always poking NATO. I think that this still is an example of that. Well, this is just right now to keep supporting the Assad government. And this is where the U.S. and Russia fundamentally disagree. The U.S. wants Assad removed from power. Moscow's been supporting him for years. I think this is another example of Russia asserting its power. It's been isolated for more than a year, cut out of a bunch of organizations, a bunch of meetings, and just, its economy is tanking. But this is something that it can do. This is a place where it can be powerful, or where it thinks it could be powerful, and reassert its global dominance.
Now, obviously, it's, unpredictable is a good word for Russia these days. Do you feel like these negotiations we're talking about, and the United States is out there, and John Kerry's out there, and the president is talking about it? Do you feel like some kind of agreement can become? As somebody who watches this stuff and observes this stuff, do you think that we can have an agreement with the Russians that's going to be at all legit?
I don't see one coming anytime soon, because you're seeing the Russians take action that they're not telling the U.S. about, and that's worrisome. It's basically Russia's saying, I'm going to act like this, and then we're going to see how you react. And you can already see there's a divide in the reality of what's happening, because the Russian Defense Ministry is saying we've struck this target, and they've released a map that says this is where we've hit these targets. And then you have a map that is put together by independent sources, and doesn't quite match up. The Russians are not striking exactly the targets that they say they are. So when you have this level of disconnect, like, an agreement will not be immediate, that's for sure.
And in terms of domestic politics, that probably means more and a longer refugee crisis, right? That is now sort of creeping into our politics here, right? Coming out of Syria. Does that
right?
That seems to be what the end result will be.
Yes, thousands more.
Well, all right. Well, so what are you going to be watching next week to see what happened that we should be paying attention to when it comes to all this stuff? Anything specifically you're looking out for?
Definitely seeing, where the Russians are striking, and if it does strike a rebel group that the U.S. has trained and backed, what the U.S. response is going to be.
Great. All right. Hey, this is fun. It's gonna be another full news week next week. Thanks a lot, Marina. I am Evan McMorris Santoro, White House reporter for BuzzFeed News, filling in for Bill. We'll be back after a break.
Follow us on Twitter @BP Show. This is The Bill Press Show.
Okay, what do you say, friends? Have you heard about Bernie Sanders? The big news. Oh, my God. Bernie Sanders racking up over 1 million contributions to his presidential campaign, racking in $24 million, almost as much as Hillary Clinton has raised with all those big donors of hers, and Bernie Sanders with over 650,000 individual contributions. Can you believe it? Well, there's a lot in common with the Bernie Sanders campaign and Free Speech TV because, like Bernie, we don't have the great big donors, no corporate money, no Koch brothers, no government money. We've just got you, all individuals who give whatever they can, little contributions, whether it's $5 or $30 or $100 or whatever. That's what keeps the Bernie Sanders campaign going, and that's what keeps free speech going as well. So this is it. Right at the end of our pledge drive here for this fall, your last chance to give. So do them both. Give to Bernie and give to Free Speech TV as generously as you can to keep us going, to keep this great partnership going, to keep us on the air. And remember, if you can help us with $30, we will send you an Bill Press Show Eco Journal and a pen set to go along with it. If you can help us with $60, that's just $5 a month. Think of it that way. Send you this great stamp. Ben Cohen from Ben & Jerry's. He loves this stamp. He showed us how to do it the other day. Corporations are not people. You put it on your dollar bill just like that. If you can help us with $120, we'll send you a copy of Lawrence Lessig's great book on campaign finance reform called Republic Lost. For $240, that's $20 a month to make that pledge, and we'll send you one of these beautiful little Free Speech TV bears, plus a button set. These are great. 10 buttons for all your favorite shows on Free Speech TV, one for each, including the Bill Press Show, of course. And for $30 a month or $360 pledge, we'll send you the whole enchilada, the Free Speech TV bear, the 10-button set, the stamp, Corporations Are Not People, there it is, and a copy of Lawrence Lessig's book. For a very special treat about it for you and for us, help Free Speech TV with $1,000. Come to Washington, our nation's capital, and we'll help you get around, and then Carol and I will take you out to dinner at one of our favorite places right here in the neighborhood on Capitol Hill, and come in the next morning and meet our entire team. So there you go. This is it. Be a Bernie Sanders supporter, be a Bernie Sanders contributor, and be a free speech contributor. Join our team here at Free Speech. We really need your help. The way to do it, go to the phones, make your pledge today at 877-378-8669, or go online to freespeech.org. This is your last chance. Don't miss it, or else you know what? You're going to be feeling guilty for the next 6 months. We don't want that to happen. Thanks for your help.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Good morning. Again, I'm Evan McMorris Santoro, White House reporter for BuzzFeed News, filling in for Bill. We still have Marina Koren with us from The Atlantic. We just talked about Russia and Syria and refugees and bombs and,
vegetarianism.
Right. Just more of the slow news week that we have experienced this week. Marina, what can you tell me about what is going on in Congress when it comes to foreign policy? We just had a conversation with George Zornick from the Nation about kind of the changeover in the House to Kevin McCarthy, kind of showcasing there's still a really big split within the Republican Party over a lot of issues. Does the GOP control Congress or speak with one voice on foreign policy, or is there a multitude of voices?
I would say a multitude of voices. Like, you're always going to have John McCain saying, send more defensive weapons to Ukraine, anything to stave off Russian anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're going to get more calls for a safe zone in Syria that's U.S. controlled. But I don't know. I think that things are going to shift
some kind of no-fly zone or something like that, which we saw
Mm-hmm.
Hillary Clinton is, I think, now saying that she supports the idea. She said that this morning, yeah.
So that could be next. But I think that after yesterday's shooting, that's on my mind right now. I think that you're going to see a shift toward domestic stuff.
Interesting. Well, you mentioned earlier that, a lot of people are saying they don't really know what to do about this. Right. And when that tends to happen, we tend to see Congress sort of stop talking about it a lot, right? Yeah, it gets too complicated. We'll let Corker and McCain talk about it, right? And then we'll...
Yeah, but even Corker is I think, he obviously criticized the administration and said that, it missed a lot of chances, but he's also been saying things we don't really know what to do. And, what more can you do? Besides, more sanctions. We've sanctioned everybody.
So does that kind of mean that Russia's in the driver's seat right now?
I think for the time being, at least. Because the U.S. is in a very reactionary role. I think that's more accurate.
Yeah, as depending on where this all goes, it's still pretty clear that Putin has sort of outmaneuvered and outfoxed Obama on this whole thing.
Right.
Best I can tell.
That's what the criticism is.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. We're talking. The congressional stuff. We still have on the campaign trail. We still have. It's amazing to watch this. We have Lindsey Graham, who talks, of course, about. If you make me president, I'm putting troops on the ground in the Middle East. That's the first thing I'm doing. That's what we're doing. And then you still have Rand Paul, who is, this sort of libertarian, anti-interventionist type person. So do you have a sense of which one of those ideas has more power in the Republican Congress right now, or in the GOP? Do you have any sense which is stronger?
Honestly,
do you get that sense?
I think that, no one's going to make the mistake of saying that Russia is not a geopolitical foe this time around. Well, actually, no, Romney said that they were.
Yeah.
So I'm getting all of my debates mixed up. So obviously they're going to say things like that.
Yeah.
And no one's going to be talking about reset buttons. But I think that most of the candidates have been saying, we're just going to stand up to Putin. We're going to stand up to Putin, but not how.
All right. Well, this is the Bill Press Show. We'll be back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Okay, what do you say, friends? Have you heard about Bernie Sanders? The big news. Oh, my God. Bernie Sanders racking up over 1 million contributions to his presidential campaign, racking in $24 million, almost as much as Hillary Clinton has raised with all those big donors of hers. and Bernie Sanders with over 650,000 individual contributions. Can you believe it? Well, there's a lot in common with the Bernie Sanders campaign and Free Speech TV because, like Bernie, we don't have the great big donors, no corporate money, no Koch brothers, no government money. We've just got you, all individuals who give whatever they can, little contributions, whether it's $5 or $30 or $100 or whatever. That's what keeps the Bernie Sanders campaign going, and that's what keeps free speech going as well. So this is it. Right at the end of our pledge drive here for this fall, your last chance to give. So do them both. Give to Bernie and give to Free Speech TV as generously as you can to keep us going, to keep this great partnership going, to keep us on the air. And remember, if you can help us with $30, we will send you an Bill Press Show Eco Journal and a pen set to go along with it. If you can help us with $60, that's just $5 a month. Think of it that way. Send you this great stamp. Ben Cohen from Ben & Jerry's. He loves this stamp. He showed us how to do it the other day. Corporations are not people. You put it on your dollar bill, just like that. If you can help us with $120, we'll send you a copy of Lawrence Lessig's great book on campaign finance reform called Republic Lost. For $240, that's $20 a month to make that pledge, and we'll send you one of these beautiful little Free Speech TV bears, plus a button set. These are great. 10 buttons for all your favorite shows on Free Speech TV, one for each, including the Bill Press Show, of course. And for $30 a month or $360 pledge, we'll send you the whole enchilada, the Free Speech TV bear, the 10-button set, the stamp, Corporations Are Not People, there it is, and a copy of Lawrence Lessig's book. For a very special treat about it for you and for us, help Free Speech TV with $1,000. Come to Washington, our nation's capital, and we'll help you get around, and then Carol and I will take you out to dinner at one of our favorite places right here in the neighborhood on Capitol Hill, and come in the next morning and meet our entire team. So there you go. This is it. Be a Bernie Sanders supporter, be a Bernie Sanders contributor, and be a free speech contributor. Join our team here at Free Speech. We really need your help. The way to do it, go to the phones, make your pledge today at 877-378-8669, or go online to freespeech.org. This is your last chance. Don't miss it, or else you know what? You're going to be feeling guilty for the next 6 months. We don't want that to happen. Thanks for your help.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
I'm Evan McMorris Santoro, White House reporter for BuzzFeed News. Still filling in for Bill. We are now, 90 minutes in, which I think has been like a really jam-packed show. We've talked about all sorts of stuff. We talked about gun control. We talked about, Congress and Kevin McCarthy, or as I call him, K-Mac. We talked about foreign policy. Now we're going to talk about something that, a little bit more near and dear to my heart lately, which has been presidential politics. I have been on the trail a lot lately, mostly with Bernie Sanders. Been a very interesting experience to see this growing political movement that's happening around Sanders. Joining us to talk about presidential politics of all sides, Shawna Thomas, senior producer for NBC's Meet the Press. Meet the Press.
Meet the Press.
That's big.
Coming back.
This is
good ratings this week.
This is a big
good
deal.
ratings for last Sunday.
Oh, did you have Trump on?
Number one overall. Well, I mean, we did do a little Trump.
Did you have Trump on?
But no, we didn't have Trump. We had Hillary Clinton on.
Oh, nice.
Just her.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
2 weeks ago, we had a little Trump and a little Ben Carson.
It was actually a really good interview. That interview was really good. And then actually, it was a jam-packed show last week. Not to get too in the weeds here, because the Hillary Clinton interview was really good. And then the Carly Fiorina interview was really good. And they're both super newsy.
Yes.
Carly and Hillary on the same show.
And you know who we have this Sunday? Donald Trump.
Oh, all right.
Yes. A sit down with Donald Trump. No phoners.
Right, he's not doing phones.
But
you guys don't do the phoners
No.
with him.
Well,
By
I
the way,
mean,
good
we
for
did
you.
actually 2 weeks ago.
Okay,
I'm not going to
all
lie. But
all
we
right.
do have a sit down with Donald Trump this
I kind of
Sunday.
like the phone thing. I picture him like leaned back in in a big desk chair with his fingers sort of tented, and he's got one of those old school the old school ones, the old school headpiece.
Wait, are you saying you think he's actually leaned back in a chair? I'm convinced he's doing it from his bedroom.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I think he's sort of like in the chair, the guy who the guy trying to sell the drugs in Heat. You know what I'm talking about in the movie Heat?
Yeah.
That guy.
Cut it, Evan.
Yeah, that kind of like that kind. If people should go back and watch it. This is what I'm talking about. This sort of quintessential '80s broker type. Anyway, speaking of Trump, let's talk about money a little bit, because one thing that's happening that's happened this week is we have seen now October 1st has come. The last quarter fundraising numbers have come out. We have a bit of a sense now of where these candidates are after this summer that we've had, and sort of into the more serious time, supposedly, of the presidential election. So, after looking at these numbers that have come out so far, the ones that have come out, where are we at? Who's doing well? Who's not doing well? What's going on?
Well, I mean, I think we have to realize Hillary Clinton. It looks like she's raised about $28 million in the third quarter, and we can talk about her poll numbers and Bernie Sanders going up, and is she really having a competition? But $28 million is a pretty respectable haul. Now, here's the deal: it looks like Sanders probably raised about $26 million.
$26 million
in the third quarter,
nipping at her
heels.
That's
according to NBC News Politics. Mark Murray, first read. I have to plug my people.
My favorite part about that statistic is Hillary had something like 65 fundraisers last quarter. Bernie had like 3.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, he has these giant rallies, and these giant rallies do serve a sort of fundraising purpose. I mean, they don't ask for money, but they have that thing you can very easily text them and donate them $10. And that's the thing about Bernie Sanders' supporters too. I think the average donation I read yesterday was like $30, which means that these donors he has, which is a huge number of donors, can keep giving. Yep. So even if he doesn't expand his fundraising base that much, which he probably will as he sort of gets more press coverage and things now, even if he doesn't, the existing base he has can keep pumping money into this thing. Right?
True, because they're not going to hit their fundraising cap anytime soon.
Right.
But I still think you have to remember that Hillary Clinton has a lot of large donors that the Clintons have been working on for a very, very long time. And people look at that and point to that as a reason why Vice President Joe Biden might not get in, is because he doesn't necessarily have the ground game she has. He doesn't necessarily have the big donors, especially out in Hollywood, that she has.
Right.
And so looking at these numbers, Joe Biden throws a whole wrench into everything, but you can't forget that she has a well of support from some very large donors who can also support her super PAC.
Right, which the super PAC is the most important part, because Sanders does not have one of those.
No super PAC.
And super PAC, which is, I think been a positive for him sort of campaign rhetoric-wise. But when the rubber meets the road, to a certain extent, the reason why a lot of these candidates who don't like super PACs, Hillary Clinton being one of them, have them is because
the money's there.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of advertising, things like that.
But let's talk about Scott Walker for a second.
Yeah.
Who did have a super PAC, who had money. But just because you have a super PAC that has money does not mean you can pay your campaign staff.
Right.
Your super PAC can't pay your campaign staff. And if you have a large staff and you're not going anywhere, that spells doom for your campaign.
This is actually a huge storyline from this particular election, because going into it with this new era of these super PACs and these billionaire backers, we didn't really know what would happen to campaigns that had no supporters but still had super PAC money. And so far, the idea of the zombie candidate that we were thinking was going to happen, where we'd have these candidates that could just keep marching on even though they had no real support, has not happened.
No.
Rick Perry, who had a ton of money in his super PAC,
couldn't use it to pay his campaign staff.
He went away.
Yeah.
Scott Walker, same thing. I mean, and so they can't keep marching ahead even though they don't have anybody with them. Obviously, these super PACs still have all this money, so we'll see what they do with it. I mean, I believe that Scott Walker's campaign was still running ads or putting an ad up, like not his campaign, the super PAC.
Yes.
The day like after he quit or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. It's weird, but it's not the same as we thought. That maybe you would have this Rick Perry going on forever just because he had the super PAC money. So speaking of the Republican side, we talked about Bernie Sanders' insurgency has been spelled out with this fundraising haul that put him right up next to Hillary Clinton's fundraising totals. Mm-hmm. But the early insurgent candidate of the Republican side, Rand Paul, he is
$2.5 million.
$2.5 million. That's how much Bernie Sanders raised in one day.
Yes.
So Rand Paul, this is not a person that you would say probably not too long for this race if he keeps putting up money like that, right?
I am not going to tell you when people are going to get out or when people are going to say, throw up their hands, I don't have the money to do
this. She does know, though. She's not going to tell us, but she knows everything about it.
What I am going to say is I still do think it's telling that he found the money to make Kentucky go to a caucus system.
Right.
I think it's telling that every candidate, including George Pataki, found the filing fee money for that. So you just don't know. And Rand Paul does he might not have a lot of money, but he does have a base of support, and he is definitely sort of courting his Ron Paul voters that are out there. Mm-hmm. So I would not dissuade or count them out. Dissuade is the wrong word, but I would not count them out.
You wouldn't count them out.
Despite what Donald Trump says from the debate stage. I don't even know why he's here.
Yeah, despite that, no.
On Twitter, too, he says it.
He's ruthless.
What is the deal with him? He hates Rand Paul so much.
He just has a real thing for Rand Paul. And
that was literally the beginning of the debate, and Rand Paul really hadn't said anything.
Yeah, right. And then he says...
in the first debate, remember the first debate? Rand Paul was like, Rand Paul
that's
was
what it is.
Go.
That's where it all comes from. Because even in the second debate, and Rand Paul says... we have this guy up here who makes fun of people's looks, and Trump says, now, to be fair, I've never made fun of your looks, and believe me, I could if I wanted to. I got plenty to work with.
Yeah.
Like,
this is like
straight up mean.
It's the pot versus the kettle debate over which is black.
Yeah,
give me a break.
Right.
But, so we've seen some other numbers from these people, too. Ben Carson, we saw where he raised $20 million, some huge amount.
Yeah.
Have we not seen Carly's numbers yet, or have we?
I haven't seen Carly's numbers yet.
But I think you can assume, based on the coverage, she's probably going to have done pretty well.
Or just if polling is to be believed, she has shot up.
Yeah.
I'm sure the money is coming in, and she has a lot of money in her Carly Super PAC.
Right, cleverly named, by the way.
Cleverly named.
I think it's. I forget what the actual acronym is, but there was a rule that it can't be called Carly for America because it's a super PAC, so it can't be associated with her. So they made an acronym that spells Carly.
Carly.
Oh, come on.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
True.
Yeah, man.
I hadn't seen that.
That's what I'm talking about.
Gotta love
it. That's
beautiful.
That's some tech CEO stuff right there. This money, this kind of money like this, we sort of it gets lost in shuffle sometimes about how much money this is, that it all just sort of seems like just numbers. But if you're Carly Fiorina or if you're Ben Carson, that kind of cash influx that we're talking about can be a really big deal. I mean, there's things about presidential campaigning that are required that go beyond sort of having really good ads or really good debate performances. Like, you have to put staff on the ground, and people like Carly Fiorina have had a hard time doing that up to this point. There's stories about she comes out of this debate, she does really, really well. I mean, she's sort of universally known now as the Republican debate winner. That's like kind of her narrative. And her first events after the debate, she didn't have any staff at them. They had one mic and handed it around. But so these kind of cash influxes that we're talking about can be more than just kind of a sign of which candidate is doing well. They actually mean that these campaigns can become legitimate, right?
Exactly. And it also means that you can flood the zone in certain states. I mean, what we've seen with John Kasich is that he's performing very, very well in New Hampshire, but they are one of the largest advertisers spending the most money in New Hampshire. So that allows you to come up with a strategy and also play out that strategy for the long haul if you can bring in this kind of money.
Right. I mean, that's all it's about. I mean, and this is the thing about someone like Trump. We have not yet seen how Trump is putting his money that he has.
He doesn't have to right now, though.
But we haven't seen him put it into anything on the ground yet so far. So
True.
I don't know. Anyway, okay, we got to take a break. Hold on, we got to take a break. I'm Evan McMurray Santoro with Shawna Thomas from Meet the Press in the studio. This is the Bill Press Show. We'll be back after a break.
Connect with The Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is The Bill Press Show.
It is possible to read the history of this country as one long struggle to extend the liberties established in our Constitution to everyone in America. In other words, who, according to our laws and culture, gets to be considered a person? The law creates legal personhood, and movements create law and change culture. So, how have the courts passed laws to shape our culture? That history goes way back before Citizens United. 1819, Dartmouth College versus Woodward, Supreme Court case, turned a corporate charter from a government-granted charter to a contract. This ruling gave corporations standing within the Constitution. 1886, Santa Clara County versus Southern Pacific Railroad. Though the court did not rule on corporate personhood, the decision was subsequently cited as a precedent to hold that a private corporation is entitled to the same 14th Amendment rights of due process and equal protection as human beings. This makes it impossible for us to make laws that treat local businesses any differently than giant multinational corporations, even if their business practices are deemed to be harmful to workers, the environment, and communities, or if they have a history of violating the law. Hale versus Henkel, 1906. The court granted corporations the Fourth Amendment search and seizure protection. Dodge versus Ford Motor Company, 1919. The Michigan Supreme Court says the business corporation is organized and carried on primarily for the profit of the stockholders. Stockholder primacy is established. The purpose of the corporation, according to the court, is no longer to serve the public good, as it had been. It is now to maximize profit for shareholders above all else. Pennsylvania Coal Company versus Mahon, 1922. Corporations get the Fifth Amendment takings clause, meaning if you pass a regulation that impacts a corporation's ability to make a profit, that is deemed a taking, and they can sue for the right to future profits lost. This creates a chilling effect, and local and state governments become much more hesitant to pass laws in the public interest for fear that corporations can claim loss of potential profits that cities and states will be on the hook to pay. Buckley versus Vallejo, 1976. The Supreme Court rules that spending money to influence elections is protected under the First Amendment, in effect saying that money is speech. Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission, 2010.
Today, the Supreme Court of Chief Justice John Roberts declared that because of the alchemy of its 19th century predecessors in deciding that corporations had all the rights of people, any restrictions on how these corporate beings spend their money on political advertising are unconstitutional.
The court's ruling threatens to undermine the integrity of elected institutions across the nation. It's a rejection of the common sense of the American people.
The most valuable morning radio show, according to The Nation magazine. This is The Bill Press Show.
It is The Bill Press Show. I'm Evan McMorris Santoro, White House reporter for BuzzFeed News, filling in for Bill. We still have Shawna Thomas from Meet the Press. Meet the Press, people. This is a serious guest.
But I'm on the most valuable radio show on air,
That's
apparently.
right. The most valuable radio show in America.
The voice just told me.
That's right.
According to The Nation magazine.
Meet the Press.
We've been
please.
talking at length about campaigns and money and what we learned about campaigns this week. Help me put this money in perspective. You said, we talked a little bit about like what it means to have this money for a low-tier candidate, but what does it mean sort of overall in terms of what where we are in the campaign right now?
Well, I think my friends over at NBC Politics, Carrie, Dan, Andrew Rafferty, they have a great newsletter. It's called The Lid, comes out around 4:30. Go to nbcnews.com to sign up. And one of the things they pointed out yesterday that I loved is they went through the last 3 presidential cycles and looked at the third quarter of the year before the actual election year. And each one's big winner, Rick Perry in 2011, didn't win the nomination. Hillary Clinton in 2007, didn't win the nomination. Mitt Romney in 2007, didn't win the nomination. Howard Dean in 2003, didn't win the nomination. So you can raise a lot of money, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be president of the United States.
That
I think,
drop-off.
That's
here's
interesting.
the thing. Things change. Things change a lot.
Yeah.
And very quickly.
That shift can happen so fast.
Yeah.
I mean, someone like Howard Dean, right? I think he was doubling his fundraising totals every
with the small
quarter,
donors,
and then bang,
done.
yeah.
But also, I mean, the one thing, no one had Donald Trump running in any of those years, and he is such an unknown factor. Donald Trump hasn't raised any money because he doesn't need to raise any money.
He's turning it down. I'm turning it down. Somebody offered me $5 million. I said, no, I don't need it.
I don't need
And
it.
he hasn't
Somebody comes in and
spent
needs $20
any
million.
money.
I could raise so much money. I mean, if they want, I have so much money here.
And he also hasn't spent any money on ads. Like, the man is getting free, in some ways, of the media that I am part of, free advertising. He doesn't need to spend any money on ads when he is everywhere.
Well,
But you know who else hasn't spent any money on ads? Bernie Sanders.
That's right. Well, Bernie Sanders doesn't need to spend money on ads either.
Yep.
You get 20,000 people in a room. Well, I mean, so
Why would I spend ads? Why would I spend money on ads?
Is that your Bernie Sanders
Yeah,
impression?
I'm still working
should
on
we
it.
do
I'm
like
still
a
Trump's
little
a little
debate?
easier.
Should we do a little debate? Bernie is so classy.
Look, look, that's my Bernie.
I love it when Bernie talks about his hair. He talked about how crazy his hair is, which he does quite a bit. So what? So Peter, you have to deal with the people who call on this show all the time. They're talking about this. What do they think about sort of this Democratic race as you're sensing it? Do you feel like, because what Shawna just talked about with the person who won the third quarter fundraising race and not becoming the nominee, one of those people was Hillary Clinton, and of course she's won the fundraising race this quarter.
Yeah, it's a very interesting group that listens to this show and that chimes in and tweets at us at BP Show and all that stuff, because so many people are just, to use her phrase, ready for Hillary, right? Like They think this is Hillary's time. She's put in the work. This is her big chance, her only chance, her last chance to make this happen. But because Bernie is such a breath of fresh air for people who are just tired of politics as usual, we get a lot of that stuff too. And we talk about Biden just as much, right? I mean, people call in all the time wondering if Biden's going to get in. So there's a real excitement. But the one thing that we really come down to is it's sort of an embarrassment of riches on this side. Mm-hmm. No matter what happens, it would be okay, right? Like, nobody really talks about Jim Webb or Martin O'Malley or anything like that. But the three that we mentioned, yeah, I know.
He's still running for president?
Sad, really.
Former governor of Maryland?
Yeah, that guy.
You may have heard of him.
Oh,
Martin
yeah.
He's in a
O'Malley.
band?
Yeah.
Have you heard of his
That's
band?
right.
Did you see, by the way, his
The
latest
IJ review thing?
Well, yes. But he's running a contest right now. If you contribute to the campaign, they put you into a lottery, and then they'll pull your name out if you've contributed, and then he will write a song for you
And play it.
Yeah, and play it.
For
Write a song about you for you to have.
We need to
Future President of the United States.
We need to get Bill to win that.
Wouldn't that be great?
That would be great.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
You don't think you can invite former Governor O'Malley here and he would just play you a song?
I bet he probably would.
I bet he would.
Why not?
If you pay his cab fare.
Yeah. Right.
Whoa, O'Malley.
Hey.
All right. Well,
That's rude, Evan.
This is interesting. You're talking about this stuff with, you're talking about Biden, because Biden last night, I reading on CNN, he said he talked about Bernie Sanders, right? And one thing that we're seeing is we haven't seen a lot of attempts to draw a lot of draw a lot of contrasts with Sanders from the Clinton campaign. Sanders draws a lot of contrast with Clinton. He likes to talk about how he didn't vote for the Iraq War and she did, how he was for LGBT rights publicly well before she was, about how he opposed the Glass-Steagall breakup that her husband put through. So we have Biden is talking in New York and says, "I'm no Bernie Sanders. He's a great guy, by the way. He really is. I'm not a populist, but I'm a realist." So that's starting maybe the sort of opening lines of what might be more of a Democratic debate over what exactly Sanders is saying. Because right now, they haven't really had a lot of that. Is that true?
Well, I think that is true. I think the other.
I mean, on your show, she said like she didn't really criticize him at all. She's like,
no, we asked her about Sanders and she's not going to go there. There's no reason for her to go there, at least at this point. However, I will say in our on Meet the Press last week, we also debuted some poll numbers. And one of the things we noticed is that we poll with Joe Biden, who is your choice, with Joe Biden, and then we also poll without Joe Biden. And all of Joe Biden's support basically, if you look at our numbers, comes from Hillary Clinton. So Bernie Sanders, were Joe Biden to get into the race, Bernie Sanders is still a problem for Joe Biden. He's not running the same campaign Joe Biden would run. And everyone says this, Joe Biden's campaign would look a lot like Hillary Clinton's campaign.
That's true.
They don't have a lot of differences.
That's true.
Other than people seem to like, good old Papa Joe a little bit more.
Yep.
But...
because he's not running.
But if he is not running also.
once he's in, they're not going to like him as much.
Exactly.
All right. Well, this is interesting, and so stay tuned. You got a big show this weekend, right? On Meet the Press.
Yeah, Donald Trump.
Donald Trump, folks.
Sit down.
Nice.
We are going to Trump Tower, but we're going to sit down with him, have an interview, put that on television on Sunday. You might see a little bit of it, I don't know, later this afternoon at 5 p.m. on MTP Daily, the new 5-day-a-week show my boss has, Chuck Todd.
Nice.
Tune around.
The pitch master.
Yeah.
Shawna Thomas, thank you for coming in. I'm Evan McMorris Santoro with BuzzFeed News. This is the Bill Press Show. We'll be back after another break for another hour of show.
Okay, what do you say, friends? Have you heard about Bernie Sanders? The big news. Oh, my God. Bernie Sanders racking up over 1 million contributions to his presidential campaign, racking in $24 million, almost as much as Hillary Clinton has raised with all those big donors of hers, and Bernie Sanders with over 650,000 individual contributions. Can you believe it? Well, there's a lot in common with the Bernie Sanders campaign and Free Speech TV because, like Bernie, we don't have the great big donors, no corporate money, no Koch brothers, no government money. We've just got you, all individuals who give whatever they can, little contributions, whether it's $5 or $30 or $100 or whatever. That's what keeps the Bernie Sanders campaign going, and that's what keeps free speech going as well. So this is it. Right at the end of our pledge drive here for this fall, your last chance to give. So do them both. Give to Bernie and give to Free Speech TV as generously as you can to keep us going, to keep this great partnership going, to keep us on the air. And remember, if you can help us with $30, we will send you an Bill Press Show Eco Journal and a pen set to go along with it. If you can help us with $60, that's just $5 a month. Think of it that way. Send you this great stamp. Ben Cohen from Ben & Jerry's. He loves this stamp. He showed us how to do it the other day. Corporations are not people. You put it on your dollar bill just like that. If you can help us with $120, we'll send you a copy of Lawrence Lessig's great book on campaign finance reform called Republic Lost. For $240, that's $20 a month to make that pledge, and we'll send you one of these beautiful little Free Speech TV bears, plus a button set. These are great. 10 buttons for all your favorite shows on Free Speech TV, one for each, including the Bill Press Show, of course. And for $30 a month or $360 pledge, we'll send you the whole enchilada, the Free Speech TV bear, the 10-button set, the stamp, corporations are not people, there it is, and a copy of Lawrence Lessig's book. For a very special treat about it for you and for us, help Free Speech TV with $1,000. Come to Washington, our nation's capital, and we'll help you get around, and then Carol and I will take you out to dinner at one of our favorite places right here in the neighborhood on Capitol Hill, and come in the next morning and meet our entire team. So there you go. This is it. Be a Bernie Sanders supporter, be a Bernie Sanders contributor, and be a free speech contributor. Join our team here at Free Speech. We really need your help. The way to do it, go to the phones, make your pledge today at 877-378-8669, or go online to freespeech.org. This is your last chance. Don't miss it, or else, you know what? You're going to be feeling guilty for the next 6 months.
Hour before we head into 8 o'clock. Great stuff coming up. I just want to leave you with one more 2016 thing. Just off the Twitter, Ann Coulter on WMAL radio in Baltimore says she will drop political punditry and start writing cookbooks if Trump is not elected president in 2016. So if that doesn't give you
Can't put this thing out there.
This
It's like, I don't know
is
what
the Bill Press Show.
Really?
I'm a Pistons fan. Their slogan was, we come to work. That's what Detroit about. That's why they used it. It's a team thing. They won 2 championships, a team. There was no star. No mayor can come in here and be a star. It's a team thing. No governor can come in here and think you can do it by yourself. It's a team thing. You got communities. They got ideas, too. The only thing wrong with Detroit, people have lost hope here. Residents, city workers, so much corruption. They lose hope. But I grew up here. I love this city. I think it can come back. I've been working for the city 24 and a half years. Within the last 10 years, we took 4 pay cuts and then an additional 10% wage cut. I've lost a home.
When you take all of the decisions out of the city of Detroit, all of us, then what do you have? Exactly what we got, a lot of problems. Every time the city seems to fall into a problem, it's always on the backs of us workers.
You wake up out of a dead sleep and you jump behind the wheel and take off driving and try to get everybody there safe, not knowing really what you're pulling up to. I'm not eligible for Social Security, so the pension is my sole salary at this point.
We've been in business here 39 years. We've seen a lot of changes in Detroit. The area was a lot of industry, a lot of city workers. It's getting very tough for the city workers. It's getting tough for us as a business people.
Response times are increasing because of the closing of companies, which takes your insurance rate through the roof. So all the things that affect us affect the citizens.
I worked for the city in different capacities for 29 years. I feel like an old jacket. They use me up and they throw me away. In my condition, nobody's gonna hire me. I'm 68 years old. Half the times, I can't get my blood pressure medicine. It's either feeding myself, blood pressure, or paying bills.
$754. By the time they take all the deductions for I have my car insurance, my house insurance, and my health insurance taken out. So the time they take all that, I'll get about $300 after they take all that out. I don't understand it. I can't see how the governor is allowing this to happen and what they're doing and they want to blame it all on the seniors. Not only the seniors, but the city workers. And we worked hard. I know I worked hard.
I've been in Detroit since 1946. I was 14 years old when I came in. I don't live large at all. I wish I could. I don't know when the last time I've been shopping. I only get $1,100, and I'm 81 years old, and I need every penny that I can get and that I do get. And I'm very, very upset about the idea of them taking away my pensions that I worked 30 years for.
I think it's terrible that they talk about Detroit like they do, because Detroit has been very good to me.
I have a lot of city workers coming in with their uniforms on, Detroit Water Department, Police Department, Fire Department. I get a lot of people, the Border Patrol come in. So if I lose that customer base, I'm going to be in a position where I might have to close down. If they take away their pensions, if they start cutting jobs, it's going to cut into a large percentage of not only our business, but other businesses that are in the city of Detroit. We're here. We've been here for 26 years. We're still trying to do business in the city.
Detroiters are survivors. They tough, they adapt, but only can do so much when your politicians are ahead of you and we're not on the same team. We're not gonna let Detroit be erased, bulldozed, or whatever. We're gonna fight to the bitter end. Detroit gonna survive.
Just this month, my bill was like $138.
Even at one phone call a week cost me $40 to $50 every month.
I am living on a fixed income of SSI, so this is really a great hardship. Families are being punished. When they incarcerate your children, they incarcerate the whole family.
In 2011, the Media Action Grassroots Network, Working Narratives, and Prison Legal News founded the Campaign for Prison Phone Justice, an effort to call on the FCC to address the cost of interstate phone calls. The campaign mobilized prisoners to send hundreds of letters. Advocates and families filled out postcards, met with elected officials, and signed petitions. Partnerships were formed across the political spectrum and with groups in the criminal justice, civil rights, and public interest community. The film distribution company Participant Media and director Ava DuVernay joined the fight through a social action campaign tied to the release of the feature film Middle of Nowhere. In an effort to push the FCC to act, the campaign hosted a historic rally outside of the Federal Communications Commission where for the first time, families of prisoners, elected officials, civil rights and faith leaders came together to call for an end to predatory phone rates.
We're all held captive when predatory phone companies gouge our families.
My son has been incarcerated now for over 10 years, and my husband estimates that in the time we spent over $25,000 on prison phone calls.
My hero's not yours, you probably arrested them. Your schools probably neglected them. They spawn thoughts, you probably infected them. Feed us what you feed us, you can lay us next to them. FBI call it major crimes. Babies making babies cry.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Hour 3. We have made it.
We made it.
Hour 3. I am Evan McMorris Santoro, White House reporter for BuzzFeed News, filling in yet again for Bill. It's one of my favorite things to do. I like it when he goes out of town, so I get to come in here and do this. And it's a great day to do it because of how much news that we've had. We've gone through so much stuff already, and we have a lot more stuff to go through. Joining us in the studio now is one of my favorite reporters in Washington, Ben Terris from the Washington Post. This is like one of your rising star type, one of your people to watch in Washington types.
Oh yeah, we're very lucky to have him.
Please don't watch me.
Do not look directly at Ben Terris.
Yeah.
He's a political reporter. He covers a lot of you do a lot of interesting stuff. You do a lot of like political feature writing. You talk a lot about sort of like the way the campaign trail sort of feels, right?
Yeah, I just try to find the weird stuff and show people how weird it is.
Yeah, it's really good. We're gonna talk to you a lot about that stuff. But first,
you got it. Boom. You nailed it.
Nailed it.
Press. All right, here are just a couple of other stories making news. We go to Oregon, where yesterday they joined Washington State and Colorado as the third state in America to allow the sale of marijuana to recreational users. Now, there's still medical dispensaries all around the country and states that have that legal, but Oregon residents 21 years and older can buy up to a quarter ounce of dried marijuana. They have 200 stores already set up all around the state, and all you have to do is just come in with a license. Got to be 21 years old, and you can buy 7 grams or a quarter ounce of
per day. Per
person,
visit?
It's a good question. I guess just at a time. I don't think you do it per day. It's just when you go in.
Wow. Do you think there's going to be a demonstrable difference in a place like Oregon with pot being legal versus not being legal?
So Colorado. Hey, you've been to Denver?
In Colorado, you have like Colorado Springs. You have there's plenty of conservative parts of Colorado.
All pot smokers. Big pot smokers.
Yeah, all Air Force generals.
No. Look, Denver, Colorado for sure. I mean.
Yeah.
And Boulder.
Yeah, and Boulder. I mean, weed was already practically legal there. So,
right. So I'm saying Oregon.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Call me when it's Alabama.
Yeah, right.
And that's when you're moving to Alabama.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right. There you go.
With a banjo on my knee. All right.
Earlier this week, we got word that Edward Snowden had joined Twitter. At Snowden, of course. He tweeted yesterday that he didn't turn the Twitter notification emails off. You guys are big on Twitter. You get a thing that says such and such followed you or retweeted you or whatever. He left all of his notifications on, which means that as of yesterday, his first tweet had been favorited 110,000 times and retweeted 120,000 times. So every time that he got a follow, a favorite, a retweet, or a DM, which he left open, he got a notification. The end result is his email, according to him, got 47 gigabytes worth of notifications in one day.
That's what he gets for making a "Can you hear me now" joke when he first got on his Twitter.
I mean, he's been gone so long, he's going to make a dad joke when he comes back.
Yeah, it's like he should know better than that. Is he going to make like a Jared from Subway reference next and not realize that there's been news since he's been gone?
And a possible breakthrough for male contraception. There is a drug called cyclosporine, which has been used for transplant recipients who get an organ transplanted. It reduces the risk of the patient's, or reduces the patient's immune system so that they don't reject the organ, right? So if you get like a heart transplant, they need to reduce your immune system or else your body will try and reject that new organ because it's not part of your body. One of the things that they realized when they did that is, I'm just going to read directly from this LA Times story.
Please do.
It's highfalutin medical talk. They work by preventing the immune system from making a protein that would otherwise mobilize T cells to attack. Specifically, they do this by inhibiting an enzyme called calcineurin. So what happens is that it lowers the amount of sperm that you produce, and so it's possibly working as a male contraception.
The best male contraceptive remains become a political reporter.
Yeah.
In my experience.
Yeah. Or morning show producer. Yeah.
Just move to Washington, period.
Yeah, right, exactly. We'll swallow you up.
Washington, D.C. Yeah. You got any comment on male contraception?
I got nothing. I got nothing, no.
You got nothing?
Pass.
That works. It's a good strategy.
All right. Well, let's talk about some of these Republican candidates. You mentioned before we came on when we were doing our very deep prep for this segment that you had just spent a lot of time with Carly Fiorina, who is now someone who I think is like, yeah, everyone's talking about her. She's winning debates. She's rising up in polls. She's arguing about Planned Parenthood videos that don't have in them what she says are in, like all this sort of stuff. So tell us about what you've been doing with Carly Fiorina, what you've learned about her, sort of what we should know, people who are watching this from the outside, anything interesting or...
Sure. Well, the first thing you should know is if you want to ever hear about Carly Fiorina arguing against Planned Parenthood, you should go to a pregnancy center in South Carolina with her, like I did, and watch her stand awkwardly next to a woman getting an ultrasound for a photo op. It was a very strange moment. But that's what campaigning has become these days, I guess. You know, go to South Carolina with Carly Fiorina and stand in a room with 30 photographers taking a picture of
this woman, she's got the thing on her stomach.
She's got, a gelled up stomach, and she's got a heartbeat pumping through a room. So.
I'm sorry. That's a little...
And there's a bunch of press in the room?
Yeah.
How was this woman's reaction to this?
She was very nice. She offered to do it. The center had been very good to her. So, she was coming from a good place. It was just an awkward thing to stand next to a presidential candidate, kind of at least for 10 seconds, pretending there wasn't someone next to her so she could stare at cameras and get her photograph taken.
That's really sweet. That's really touching. I remember with the two kids that I have, sitting in the room with my wife and hearing the heartbeat for the first time.
And hearing the shudder of cameras.
Yeah, clicks and some presidential candidate putting her face down in front of my wife's belly and grinning with two thumbs up.
Can you turn towards the camera a little bit? Could you give us a little bit? Yeah.
But that's the thing about campaigns is they're just really strange, and not everybody notices how strange they are.
Right.
What business do any of us have being in that room at that moment? But there we all were.
And what was the takeaway? So this is obviously she's been running a lot on abortion and stuff.
Yeah, so she did that, and it was kind of a nice moment, and then she went to the next room and she said, the character of this nation should not be built on the butchery of babies. And then talked about, the liberal media and how the videos do exist, and that it's a tragedy that Planned Parenthood gets all this money, but centers, these anti-abortion centers like the one she was in, don't get funding from the government.
Right. And there's been some discussion about this. It's one of those things that's like the most confounding thing, I think, to some political observers that would not want Carly Fiorina to be president, right? People are watching this and she keeps saying this stuff about these videos that don't say don't have in them the footage that she reports to have them have. But on the other side, people who agree with her and stand with her, they're like, it seems like it doesn't really matter to them what's in these videos. What matters to them is that the videos prove to them a certain point about how abortion works and proves their point that they think it's awful. So what does she say about that stuff?
She just says that it definitely exists. And look, she is very confident and she has such strength when she talks, and she's impressive, right? So when she goes up there and she is fighting that they exist, and even, regardless of that it's a horrible thing that's happening in her opinion, she does it as a real fighter. So people see her and they like her. I mean, that's why she shot up in the polls, is because, a lot of people are taking her to task on things that are, maybe gradations of the truth, but she is such a passionate talker about these things that people believe her. So, her troops are getting rallied behind her, that's for sure.
Who's coming to her events? What kind of Republicans are coming?
I don't know if there's one specific type of people, but, they definitely skew older. Like, I went to a college, and there were probably 1,000 people at the event, and I think maybe, 10 of them were of college age. So, it's just an older crowd, but they just love to hear what she's like on stage. I mean, I wrote in the story that it's like, she's got a teleprompter in her mind. I mean, she can just totally recite facts or maybe gradations of facts with, rat-a-tat speed. So people just think that she is, competent. I think competence is the key word.
I mean, that's really true. When you see her on the debate stage, I mean, it's really wild. Some of these people if she's so quick on her feet, ready to get to the place that she wants to be, like, right away.
Yeah.
What about, so Hillary Clinton has been running quite a bit on being the first woman president. We've seen a lot of her supporters talk about being a first woman president, that's an important factor to them. Carly talks about being a woman and how important that is to this debate a lot. I mean, that was the sort of fight that she, that big breakout moment from the last debate when she stood there on stage next to the, Ronald Reagan's plane and, basically called out Trump for comments he made about how she looks and everything. Did you get a chance? I mean, I don't know if you, I don't want to put you on the spot or how much you got a chance to talk to these people, but do you get any sort of sense about how important her being a woman is to people that go to her events and support her?
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to say, like, that it's the most important thing, because it's not the most important thing, but, sure. People appreciate it. Certainly, I talked to a lot of voters that were down in South Carolina, and a lot of them wanted to see her on stage with Hillary Clinton because, they're sick and tired of hearing Hillary Clinton talk about how she's going to break the glass ceiling when they have a candidate that they think could break it as well. It wouldn't be the number one thing that anybody said, but it's certainly, if you ask folks about it, they definitely talk about it.
There's a sense also, right, that she can say things to Hillary or about Hillary Clinton that the male candidates can't say, right? That seems to always be like a huge part of her brand.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, that's just the juxtaposition of the two of them on stage is a good one, I mean, it does level the playing field in some ways.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, that's interesting. I think that, and this story is available on, people can go online and read this story about Carly. It's up and running.
The Washington Post is not just a paper. It's also a website.
You guys have a website now?
Yeah.
Wow,
it's recent. It's pretty cool. Yeah, you should check it out.
Do you have any apps?
Probably.
You do have an app. I mean, I use it every day. They have a wonderful app. It's a great app. Let's talk about some of these other candidates that are from this outsider class, because you've actually interviewed and talked to most of them. Ben Carson, right? He is on the rise. Just made a ton of money in the last quarter, as we were talking about with Shawna Thomas earlier. Is capturing something in the GOP. We had him. We just played a clip of him earlier this morning talking about how after the shooting that last night, that his biggest concern was about having gun registration and how dangerous that could be. You've talked a lot. You did a great profile of him. You know him pretty well. You've talked to him a few times. What do you think is sort of going on with Ben Carson now that he's taken this top level role? Like, he's a top tier candidate now. Like, has that changed at all? How he's campaigning? Is he consistent with that stuff? I mean, have you seen anything that makes you feel
I don't think he's changed too much. I mean, maybe he's tried a little bit to not have as many gaffes, I guess. I mean, maybe he's tried not to say the word Nazi as much, or not to say
right,
things that we're going to...
Because he compared he said the U.S. could become a Nazi state several times. But he compared Obamacare to the Nazis.
And to slavery. But then again, like, it's come up again in the last couple of days. So there was a time where I felt like, oh, Ben Carson is really tried to mellow out. And, I mean, that's a weird thing to say about Ben Carson, who seems like, human Xanax. He does seem mellow. But, I've talked to his people a lot, and they said, look, it's important for us to make sure that people can hear his message. And if certain people are going to be turned off by certain language, we're going to try to keep them from saying that. And so for a while, he did kind of cool that. But I think it's come back a little because you still don't want to be a guy who seems like he's given into political correctness. His brand is to not be politically correct. Maybe not as much as Donald Trump, but...
Yeah, I mean, is there any message that we can take away from the fact that the two people at the top of... Well, the three people now at the top of these Republican polls are completely bombastic, uncontrolled, unscripted to the max, very quiet, kind of like deliberative speaking person in Ben Carson, and then as you're talking about human teleprompter in Carly Fiorina. This just seems like... It's very difficult for me to understand this because they seem to be, this is three completely different kinds of candidates. I mean, Trump is like the anti-human teleprompter and just says whatever he wants to say and appears to not think at all before he says it. Carson, very quiet, right? Almost to the point that he can be difficult to hear sometimes when he's talking. It's very slow. And then Carly is this, super, super scripted. So is there anything sort of takeaway we can take from those three doing so well?
I don't know. I would just say that it's like they're all three from outside of politics, right? So if you're a person who doesn't want somebody from inside politics, you're going to go to one of those three, and then it's kind of a grab bag. You get one option for each thing. If you want a guy who just runs his mouth all the time, boom, there's your guy. If you want a guy who's like going to calm you down a little, there's your guy. And if you want somebody who kind of still feels like a politician, even though she's claims that she's completely outside the establishment, even though that's debatable, then you go with her. So, I mean, I think you can kind of, it's just, we're still talking about, if you add them all up, what was the percentage of the electorate there? I mean, 45% or something, 40%?
And the GOP? That's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. But it just means that I can imagine there being 40% of people who don't want a politician right now.
Right.
But they're not all going to want the same person.
It's so interesting because I think that's right. I think that what you're seeing is how deep that anti-establishment streak goes right now, because you are seeing that they're just really to latch on to any one of these people who are so different. There's no through line really between all three of those people.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just that they're not part of the establishment, and like, you live in D.C., the establishment, it's a bummer.
Yeah, it's boring.
Yeah.
They really are boring.
Yeah, they're boring, and also every time you talk to anybody, whenever you call home, I guess it's sort of like, how do you deal with these people?
Well, we drink. It's a good, we'll be back after a break with Ben Terris. This is the Bill Press Show. I'm Evan McMorris Santoro filling in for Bill.
Get social with Bill Press. Like us at Facebook.com/Bill Press Show. This is the Bill Press Show.
Okay, what do you say, friends? Have you heard about Bernie Sanders? The big news. Oh, my God. Bernie Sanders racking up over 1 million contributions to his presidential campaign, racking in $24 million, almost as much as Hillary Clinton has raised with all those big donors of hers, and Bernie Sanders with over 650,000 individual contributions. Can you believe it? Well, there's a lot in common with the Bernie Sanders campaign and Free Speech TV, because like Bernie, we don't have the great big donors, no corporate money, no Koch brothers, no government money. We've just got you, all individuals who give whatever they can, little contributions, whether it's $5 or $30 or $100 or whatever. That's what keeps the Bernie Sanders campaign going, and that's what keeps free speech going as well. So this is it, right at the end of our pledge drive here for this fall. Your last chance to give, so do them both. Give to Bernie and give to Free Speech TV as generously as you can to keep us going, to keep this great partnership going, to keep us on the air. And remember, if you can help us with $30, we will send you an Bill Press Show Eco Journal and a pen set to go along with it. If you can help us with $60, that's just $5 a month. Think of it that way. Send you this great stamped Ben Cohen from Ben and Jerry's. He loves the stamp. He showed us how to do it the other day. Corporations are not people. You put it on your dollar bill, just like that. If you can help us with $120, we'll send you a copy of Lawrence Lessig's great book on campaign finance reform called Republic Lost. For $240, that's $20 a month to make that pledge, and we'll send you one of these beautiful little Free Speech TV bears, plus a button set. These are great. 10 buttons for all your favorite shows on Free Speech TV, one for each, including the Bill Press Show, of course. And for $30 a month or $360 pledge, we'll send you the whole enchilada, the Free Speech TV bear, the 10-button set, the stamp, Corporations Are Not People, there it is, and a copy of Lawrence Lessig's book. For a very special treat about it for you and for us, help Free Speech TV with $1,000. Come to Washington, our nation's capital, and we'll help you get around, and then Carol and I will take you out to dinner at one of our favorite places right here in the neighborhood on Capitol Hill, and come in the next morning and meet our entire team. So there you go. This is it. Be a Bernie Sanders supporter, be a Bernie Sanders contributor, and be a free speech contributor. Join our team here at Free Speech. We really need your help. The way to do it, go to the phones, make your pledge today at 877-378-8669, or go online to freespeech.org. This is your last chance. Don't miss it, or else you know what? You're going to be feeling guilty for the next 6 months. We don't want that to happen. Thanks for your help.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
Help keep all the presidential candidates straight with your progressive headquarters for the 2016 election. This is The Bill Press Show.
I am Evan McMorris Santoro. We are at 8:26. We've gone on this long. The show is still going. Still on it. It's great. We still have Ben Terris from the Washington Post in the studio.
Couldn't get rid of him.
Want to ask you one quick question. So you did a great story about Donald Trump as a golf cheat.
Sure, yeah.
So this was your
alleged golf cheat.
This was your sort of first, had you interviewed him? This is your first only interview with him, or your?
I've talked to him a little bit before, but I talked to him for about 40 minutes for this story. So
well, what's it like talking to Donald Trump for 40 minutes about golf?
It was confusing. I mean, this guy is a presidential frontrunner, and he had time in the middle of the day to talk to me for 40 minutes about golf. It was kind of incredible.
Now, the gist of your story is that many people who had played with Donald Trump say that he kind of fudges the numbers on his scorecard and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
and picks up balls where he should and maybe drops them where they shouldn't. Alice Cooper, the rock star, said that Donald Trump was the biggest cheat he'd ever played with. So,
did you talk to Alice Cooper?
No.
I know. You can't get Alice Cooper. You can get Donald Trump before.
Yeah, exactly.
So
what does that say?
His response? Did he call these guys losers and jerks and stuff?
Yeah. He called Rick Riley, the former Sports Illustrated, former ESPN writer, the worst sports writer in the history of America or something.
Just for calling him, saying he cheated at golf.
Yeah. Also, a lot of other people have said that about Rick Riley too.
Yeah.
So.
He might not be wrong about that.
I don't play a lot of golf. It seems to me this would be relatively difficult to do. To pick up pick up a ball and drop it. It's not that hard to do.
Are we allowed to talk about things that might not be true on this radio show? I got a tip from somebody saying that Donald Trump lets his golf cart go 1 mile per hour faster than anyone else's golf cart on his course, so he can zip ahead to balls and get there before anyone else can.
Oh, I love
not sure if it's
so
true.
much.
Only on Donald Trump golf courses in Donald Trump's golf cart. That's the only way we can find out.
There's a special Trump cart.
Yeah.
I love that.
With
it goes 19 miles an hour.
system.
Everything else goes 18 miles an hour.
It's a beautiful golf cart.
Tremendous.
You'll love this golf cart. Mine is a little bit faster than yours. But don't worry.
You'll get there.
You'll get there. Everything will be fine.
Well, no need to take a mulligan on this interview.
Oh!
It went really well.
Can you get me now?
I'm McMurray Santoro. This is the Bill Press Show. We'll be back with the last half hour after a break. Stay with us.
This is the Bill Press Show.
What would...
Hey, friends and neighbors, what do you say? Time to take a little time out here to remind you about the Free Speech TV Pledge Drive. We're getting toward the end. We really need your help. If you haven't already done it, step up to the plate. I've told you how important it is. The whole future of Free Speech TV depends on these pledge drives because, as Yogi Berra might say, we ain't got no government money. We ain't got no Koch brothers money. We ain't got no big corporate money. All we have is you, and we appreciate it so much. But we got to remind you a couple of times a year, please dig in and help us keep this great thing going. I just hope you realize what a national treasure free speech is. That's why I'm so proud to be part of it. I mean, think about it. Where else can you find 24/7 total progressive news and commentary? Where else? No place else. I mean, it used to be you'd say, all right, MSNBC, right? They're the answer, the liberals' answer to Fox News. But even then, they were not all progressive all day long. They were not 24/7. And Morning Joe in the morning, for example, right? And other stuff. But now they are clearly not a progressive alternative. I mean, Ed Schultz is gone. Al Sharpton is gone. Most of their liberal progressive shows are gone. And now they're trying to be, I don't know, another CNN or something. Who knows? So it's only right here on Free Speech TV that you can find, if I may say so, the best progressive host in the country. Look, we start out the day with all my time at the White House, all of my time in Democratic politics, and on the air and television, starting the day by telling you what's going on. You know, Amy Goodman, there's nobody who knows the issues better than Amy Goodman. She's been around for so long, such a strong progressive voice, getting on such great guests, such insight into the news. Stephanie Miller, I think the funniest person on the planet. And my good friend, we go back to KFI days in Los Angeles together, dynamite with her mooks. And, you know, Tom Hartman, I mean, geez, Tom Hartman is a walking encyclopedia, so dedicated, so committed, so good, so much experience. Ring of Fire with Mike Papantonio and Sam Sater, David Packman, all the gang. I mean, just worth the price of admission, right? So help us as much as you can. And remember, we'll help you out, too. For $30, we'll send you a Bill Press Show Eco Journal and a pen set. $60, a $60 pledge. One of those great stamps that said corporations are not free people, free speech. Corporations are not people. That's what it is. For $120, a copy of Lawrence Lessig's book, Republic Lost, all about campaign finance reform. If you can help us with $20 a month or a $240 pledge, the Free Speech TV teddy bear and a button set, 10 buttons of for your favorite shows on Free Speech TV, and a copy of Lawrence Lessig's book for $360. $30 a month. We'll send you the whole enchilada, the stamp, the 10-button set, the book, and the teddy bear. And for $1,000, special treat, come to Washington. Carol and I will take you out to dinner, and you can meet the whole team here in the studio. So don't forget, keep this great thing going, this national treasure called Free Speech TV. Give us a call. Make your pledge today at 877-378-8669. We really need your help. Or go online to freespeech.org. Easy enough. Do it today, and thank you.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
Streaming live video right now at youtube.com/TawkrTV. That's TAWKR-TV. This is The Bill Press Show.
Hi, I'm Evan McMurray Santoro. We are into... Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello there.
We are into our final half hour on this jam-packed, news-filled week. This is the most TGIF I have felt in quite a long time.
I needed it to be Friday.
It has been a very long week, and it's been a good, packed, long show. It's felt very short. And, one thing that we mentioned briefly, because the news came in while the show was still going on, and we hadn't really had a chance to get into it, was this thing that happened where earlier this week, one of the millions of stories that happened this week was this story that came out about Pope Francis meeting with Kim Davis. The clerk from Kentucky who has been sort of single-handedly trying to stand in the way of gay marriage, same-sex marriage expanding in Kentucky. And, the Pope met with her. That was her story. Her story from her people was that the Pope met with her and sort of blessed her and kind of gave her his blessing on what she's doing. According to the Vatican, that's not exactly right. The Vatican came out with a story earlier today. I guess last night they put out a statement saying that this was sort of a meeting that had happened at the behest of someone from the American Embassy. She was part of a receiving line. There was that kind of met the Pope, and he met a lot of people. And they said that specifically that this was not an endorsement of what she's doing. They said specifically there was an unnamed senior Vatican official in the Reuters story saying that there was regret about doing this. So it sort of changes the debate. But the interesting thing about the Pope is the Pope's visit came just as we're having a big discussion in Congress about abortion rights and about Planned Parenthood. And it's given us a great opportunity with one of these, what I love to do when I'm on this show, these things where we have these pieces of audio that sort of very succinctly define what this debate is like. And a lot of people think that this, the debate about Christianity is only a debate about Republicans versus Democrats. But really, there are deeply religious people on both sides of the debate. So let's play first Mike Huckabee talking about Kim Davis. He talks about her on the trail all the time. He's tried to make his name. He struggled a bit in the polls and has not achieved the sort of level I think that he thought he was going to early on in this campaign cycle. But he is a player. He's around. And he's been using the Kim Davis thing as a launch pad to try to get himself into the news. So let's talk about, let's play that audio of Mike Huckabee talking about Kim Davis.
When we jailed a county clerk in Kentucky because she fulfilled the conscience of her convictions and faith, it created a new day in America. When we criminalize Christianity in this country and marginalize the people who believe the same thing about marriage that Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton believed in 2012.
So that is a pretty standard Republican-sounding fare, that you have the idea that the left and the Democratic Party are trying to outlaw Christianity. But it's also a very defensive posture from a person who is an evangelical, being very, empowered by his faith. Interestingly, we have someone who's probably on the complete opposite side of the political spectrum from Mike Huckabee, also defending their Christianity and her Christian faith, Nancy Pelosi. Now, the setup for this is, in the midst of this huge debate in Congress right now about defunding Planned Parenthood, those videos caused a big commotion among the Republicans, and they're trying to defund Planned Parenthood, which, by the way, they're trying to defund Planned Parenthood well before these videos came out.
Right.
It's sort of a standard trope for them. But Nancy Pelosi had a press conference. She has these regular press conferences, and she was confronted and asked a bunch of questions about when she believes life begins from a anti-abortion reporter, I believe, with a conservative outlet. I'm not sure what outlet the reporter was from. Anyway, but you can hear a kind of, it's interesting because we talk a lot about Christianity and defending Christianity on the in politics as being a Republican thing, but listen to Nancy Pelosi and listen to how there is a defensiveness about her own faith in her message as well.
Why don't you take your ideological questions? I don't have.
If it's not a human being, what species is it?
Listen, I want to say something to you. I don't know who you are, and you're welcome to be here, freedom of this press. I am a devout, practicing Catholic, a mother of 5 children. When my baby was born, my 5th child, my oldest child, was 6 years old. I think I know more about this subject than you, with all due respect.
That's a classic dude reporter, right?
No, yeah.
Like,
hey, brah.
Hey, brah. Well, if it's not a human being, what kind of species is it?
Yeah, I say the reporter.
Hey, lady.
Yeah, the reporter in this case, that's not what we call a great question, but it's a nice question for your website, I guess.
Yeah.
But it does interest me because a lot of people will focus on the part that she talked about how, look, I'm a mother. I know a lot more about like when life begins and how babies are born than you do.
Yeah.
But it also interests me that she falls back on this Catholic faith and being a devout Catholic. And throughout the Pope's visit, we saw a lot of Democrats talking about their faith. I was recently with Bernie Sanders in Iowa, and he went to a Jewish community center. And, Bernie Sanders has said a number of times he's not a very religious person, but he talks about how his faith, the faith that he was raised in at least, has pushed him into politics because he talks about, if you're a Jewish person, my parents were immigrants from Europe, and the idea of politics is that you got to take it very seriously, because if you don't take it seriously, the wrong guys can get elected. And he talks about Hitler and how that can happen. So it's interesting because we don't really talk about. I mean, it's true, right? We don't ever really talk about the Democratic faith conversation, but a lot of all these Democrats that are running for office, pretty much, with maybe the exception of Sanders, are pretty devout, and they all sort of talk about their religion a lot. And it's interesting because now with the Pope's visit and the Pope taking a more sort of progressive tack in terms of what policies he's trying to push on people and what politics he's talking about, it's sort of given a chance, it feels like, to some Democrats to kind of reemerge as Christians. I mean, you think that's right?
Yeah, I do. I think that's absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting to see what that's going to do, what's going to happen with that with politics.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry. I'm not much help there.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it had some value to it.
It was great. Hey, by the way, I do have some breaking news.
Oh, what do you got?
Because it is the first Friday of October. The first Friday of the month means we get to take a look at the job numbers. So job numbers are in. U.S. employers added 142,000 jobs. That is a low number. That's lower than they had expected. Unemployment remained at 5.1%. So it's not a great jobs report. They also revised August downwards, which apparently, according to people who are smarter than I, say that never, ever happens.
So August goes down? Or just
August usually gets revised up, and
Wow.
it got revised down.
And I don't want to say the cliched reporter thing, but I will, which is that when you're on the trail, it really is true that here in Washington, we're talking about all sorts of other stuff. We're talking about Syria now. We're talking about Planned Parenthood funding. We're talking about, gun safety, things like that. When you're on the road, the number one issue people talk about is jobs. I mean, it's really true. The economy is still the driving factor in the election for a lot of voters, and I think that's one to do so well because he purports to have a solution to the economic problem that is so different than anybody else's, right? I mean, he's right out there. I mean, what his promise is, like, right off the bat, he wants to spend like a couple $1 trillion on infrastructure projects that are going to employ people. But this is sort of a lot of his support comes from this. I mean, he's actually taken flack because he hasn't talked about the other stuff enough, right? That was where the Black Lives Matter thing came from.
Yep,
they felt he didn't talk about that stuff enough. But it really is true that the economy is better than it was, much, much better than it was when the president took office.
I mean, like, by
people still
leaps
don't
and
feel
bounds,
it. But
right.
people still, I don't think
They don't
really
believe
feel it, though.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's absolutely a problem, and I don't know how that resolves itself or how the administration or someone running for president makes that argument, because it's not. It hasn't just been enough to come out and say, look, the job numbers are a lot better than it was. They're a lot better than they were when I took office, which is a true fact. But what is it that people aren't feeling?
Right.
It's hard to identify.
Well, wages haven't risen a lot. I mean, this is where the political deadlock of Washington rubber really meets the road. I mean, the idea that it's hard to pass gun control, we all know what the gun debate is like in this country. Yeah. The idea that abortion remains divisive, we all understand that. But the idea that, like, all these politicians get elected to try to make something happen with the economy, and they just can't make it. There's nothing. And we have another continuing resolution keeping the government open. We have no discussion about any sort of major legislation that is designed to bolster the economy. We keep things as they are is sort of the best that we can hope for in politics right now. So it's interesting about how that's going to affect things, and this is why you're seeing outsider candidates, because the public is just sort of, I think, maybe over it.
Yeah, I think it's a good point.
A bit. So are we taking a break?
Yeah, let's take a quick break.
All right. I'm Evan McMorris-Santoro with BuzzFeed News, and we are taking another break, and we'll be back we'll be back in a little while. Come see us.
Okay, what do you say, friends? Have you heard about Bernie Sanders? The big news. Oh, my God. Bernie Sanders racking up over 1 million contributions to his presidential campaign, racking in $24 million, almost as much as Hillary Clinton has raised with all those big donors of hers, and Bernie Sanders with over 650,000 individual contributions. Can you believe it? Well, there's a lot in common with the Bernie Sanders campaign and Free Speech TV, because like Bernie, we don't have the great big donors, no corporate money, no Koch brothers, no government money. We've just got you, all individuals who give whatever they can, little contributions, whether it's $5 or $30 or $100 or whatever. That's what keeps the Bernie Sanders campaign going, and that's what keeps free speech going as well. So this is it. Right at the end of our pledge drive here for this fall, your last chance to give. So do them both. Give to Bernie and give to Free Speech TV as generously as you can to keep us going, to keep this great partnership going, to keep us on the air. And remember, if you can help us with $30, we will send you an Bill Press Show Eco Journal and a pen set to go along with it. If you can help us with $60, that's just $5 a month. Think of it that way. Send you this great stamp. Ben Cohen from Ben & Jerry's. He loves this stamp. He showed us how to do it the other day. Corporations are not people. You put it on your dollar bill, just like that. If you can help us with $120, we'll send you a copy of Lawrence Lessig's great book on campaign finance reform called Republic Lost. For $240, that's $20 a month to make that pledge, and we'll send you one of these beautiful little Free Speech TV bears, plus a button set. These are great. 10 buttons for all your favorite shows on Free Speech TV, one for each, including the Bill Press Show, of course. And for $30 a month or $360 pledge, we'll send you the whole enchilada, the Free Speech TV bear, the 10-button set, the stamp, Corporations Are Not People, there it is, and a copy of Lawrence Lessig's book. For a very special treat about it for you and for us, help Free Speech TV with $1,000. Come to Washington, our nation's capital, and we'll help you get around, and then Carol and I will take you out to dinner at one of our favorite places right here in the neighborhood on Capitol Hill, and come in the next morning and meet our entire team. So there you go. This is it. Be a Bernie Sanders supporter, be a Bernie Sanders contributor, and be a free speech contributor. Join our team here at Free Speech. We really need your help. The way to do it, go to the phones, make your pledge today at 877-378-8669, or go online to freespeech.org. This is your last chance. Don't miss it, or else you know what? You're going to be feeling guilty for the next 6 months.
Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
Hi, I'm Evan McMorris-Santoro. This is my new thing. Hi.
Hello there.
What do you think? Hello. I'm Evan McMorris-Santoro, White House reporter for BuzzFeed News, filling in for Bill. Going to turn things over to Peter Ogburn.
I have to ask you, do you do fantasy football?
I have in the past.
Okay, all right. This is a new thing for us because we started a listener league where listeners and viewers can play against us on the show. It's fanduel.com/BillPress.
Cool.
And so far, this is our 4th week doing it. All 3 weeks, we've got our butts kicked. Our listeners have beat us, but they're winning money. Mm-hmm. So all they have to do if they want to go get a piece of this, if they get a little taste, FanDuel.com/BillPress. We're giving away hundreds of dollars this week. So if you finish in the money, you stand to make some real serious cash. And the more people that play, the more money you win.
So who's in this? Is Bill's in this?
Bill is the coach.
Can we out the fact that he doesn't know anything about football? Okay, so you can play Bill Press.
You can play. Yeah, Bill's the coach. He oversees
Bill's
me,
the coach.
Jamie.
So you can play Jamie Benson.
Yep.
Ray Rogers. And Cyprian Bolding.
All of us are playing.
You can play them all.
And Bill is coaching us.
And you're terrible.
Well,
this is like a bad news.
I'm
not terrible.
Jamie's done okay. He's finishing the money a couple times.
This is a bad.
I think a couple of weeks ago I finished. What was I the first week?
Like 66.
70? That was terrible.
Who's your QB? Do you change people every week?
Well, my QB, that's the thing about FanDuel is you could change every week.
Okay.
So you pick your series for that weekend, and then the next week, if you had a terrible go at it, you just reset your team. So I've been not great, but I'm guaranteeing I will finish number one this weekend.
Well, how has this season been overall? I mean, there's been some. I mean, all I know about is how terrible the stories are about Washington, and I did watch the end of the Baltimore game last night.
It's been
pretty good.
It's been a weird season.
I like when Baltimore does well. I like that team.
Yeah, Baltimore, they're up and down. They got a couple of good fantasy players. The Patriots are doing extremely well, much to the
always pick a Patriot.
Of course they are.
Just one.
They're evil.
Oh,
Jamie's a huge Patriots fan, and I
like you, Jamie.
Yeah, get out.
Next.
So it's a weird season. You're seeing a lot of big new guys break out and put real numbers up. So
seriously though, the Patriots, they're just going to go and go and go until they just destroy the game of football.
Pretty much. There's no stopping them.
I mean,
There's no stopping them.
I mean, this thing that Brady did, which I don't know if you guys have talked about this a little bit.
We have.
But Brady comes out and he's like, Donald Trump, sounds great. And he's like, I don't know anything about politics at all. I don't know which one is worse.
I mean, he did endorse Donald Trump.
No, but he's like, I'm just a goof. I don't know anything about politics.
And that was his follow-up.
Inflate him. I don't know. Whatever. But here's the thing. Like, let me tell you something, Tom Brady. You're very rich. You're a very rich person. You should care a little bit about politics.
Yeah.
Just step it up.
I don't pay much attention. I don't get involved in that stuff.
I don't care about that.
Yeah, who cares about that? What kind of weirdo cares about politics?
I'm too busy cheating in extremely esoteric ways with my evil coach that they're destined to destroy whatever legitimacy the game has.
You're going to have to finish the show without a board op, okay?
That's so great. That's so great. Yeah. So anyway, FanDuel.com/BillPress. If you want to get your butts kicked by us, you're welcome to.
That sounds interesting.
It's fun. It's really fun. This is the first time I've ever done fantasy football.
I love the idea of Bill doing that. I mean, does Bill choose by uniform color? Like, he doesn't know anything about this.
Bill, it would, because when we
Am I supposed to say that? Am I allowed to say
no, you're not.
Bill doesn't know anything about
Bill
this
knows
at all.
nothing about it.
Bill knows nothing.
When we do like the brackets, the NCAA March Madness brackets,
yeah,
Bill will always pick Louisville. You want to know why he picks Louisville? Because he likes to say the word Louisville. I just like the way Louisville sounds. Quote. That's a quote. I just like the way Louisville sounds. They're going to do well. He got to go all the way every year. It's
actually kind of fun to say it.
Louisville. Because some people say Louisville, and he'll correct them. Louisville. It's Louisville.
Oh, listen to how he's a Californian happy with his one Southernism he can do.
Yeah, pretty much.
Louisville, y'all.
Louisville. I got Louisville all the way, y'all.
Louisville, y'all.
Yeah. Dang, look at Louisville.
There's no cotton picking chance that Louisville, y'all, can't lose.
Yeah.
I'm from California.
Yeah. So.
All right.
So, yeah, there you go. Get on the fantasy.
That sounds good. Well, speaking of people from California, we talked about this for 2 seconds and we had to get out. Ann Coulter on the radio today. We do not have audio of this. It's only come over the Twitter. I have not independently confirmed this, but Ann Coulter says on the radio she will drop political punditry and start writing cookbooks if Donald Trump is not elected president in 2016. She's all in on Trump.
Now, there are two things. First of all, that's a really bold statement to make. Second of all, I would like to read an Ann Coulter cookbook. Can you imagine?
I imagine it's very small portions.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Make sure you season your meat very well with salt and pepper, but only use white pepper. Don't use black pepper.
Whoa!
I can see that.
There's no Mexican rice.
Right. Yeah.
There's no Mexican rice.
Yeah. Right.
She's been one of the most fascinating stories of this year, and it's another one of these things. Like, there's so much interesting things have happened this year in politics, and seeing her go from, at CPAC, she was always the hugest rock star, and I don't think she's not a rock star now, but to see the kind of blowback to this last book that she did has been really fascinating, because now she's just kind of like, these guys that used to sort of embrace her, they can't really embrace her now. She's made herself a little bit too hot to handle, which could be the name of her cookbook, Too Hot to Handle.
That's pretty good.
By Ann Coulter.
That's pretty good.
I'm Evan McMorris Santoro, not cooking anything today, just cooking up some delicious radio for you. This is the Bill Press Show. We'll be back for our final break. Stay with us.
Okay, what do you say, friends? Have you heard about Bernie Sanders? The big news. Oh, my God. Bernie Sanders racking up over 1 million contributions to his presidential campaign, racking in $24 million, almost as much as Hillary Clinton has raised with all those big donors of hers, and Bernie Sanders with over 650,000 individual contributions. Can you believe it? Well, there's a lot in common with the Bernie Sanders campaign and Free Speech TV, because like Bernie, we don't have the great big donors, no corporate money, no Koch brothers, no government money. We've just got you, all individuals who give whatever they can, little contributions, whether it's $5 or $30 or $100 or whatever. That's what keeps the Bernie Sanders campaign going, and that's what keeps free speech going as well. So this is it. Right at the end of our pledge drive here for this fall, your last chance to give. So do them both. Give to Bernie and give to Free Speech TV as generously as you can to keep us going, to keep this great partnership going, to keep us on the air. And remember, if you can help us with $30, we will send you an Bill Press Show Eco Journal and a pen set to go along with it. If you can help us with $60, that's just $5 a month. Think of it that way. Send you this great stamp. Ben Cohen from Ben & Jerry's. He loves this stamp. He showed us how to do it the other day. Corporations are not people. You put it on your dollar bill just like that. If you can help us with $120, we'll send you a copy of Lawrence Lessig's great book on campaign finance reform called Republic Lost. For $240, that's $20 a month to make that pledge, and we'll send you one of these beautiful little Free Speech TV bears, plus a button set. These are great. 10 buttons for all your favorite shows on Free Speech TV, one for each, including the Bill Press Show, of course. And for $30 a month or $360 pledge, we'll send you the whole enchilada, the Free Speech TV bear, the 10-button set, the stamp, Corporations Are Not People, there it is, and a copy of Lawrence Lessig's book. For a very special treat about it for you and for us, help Free Speech TV with $1,000. Come to Washington, our nation's capital, and we'll help you get around, and then Carol and I will take you out to dinner at one of our favorite places right here in the neighborhood on Capitol Hill, and come in the next morning and meet our entire team. So there you go. This is it. Be a Bernie Sanders supporter, be a Bernie Sanders contributor, and be a free speech contributor. Join our team here at Free Speech. We really need your help. The way to do it, go to the phones, make your pledge today at 877-378-8669, or go online to freespeech.org. This is your last chance. Don't miss it, or else, you know what? You're going to be feeling guilty for the next 6 months.
This is the Bill Press Show.
I'm Evan McMorris Santoro, White House reporter for BuzzFeed News, filling in for Bill. And this is the last break. This is the last couple minutes of the show So I want to, as always, thank Bill for letting me come in here and do it. This has been I think this has been really, really fun show.
This has been awesome.
We had really, really good people on. The calls earlier this morning are really good. The summer is over, and we are into some very serious politics right now. Things are really happening on the campaign trail in the country, and I urge everybody to just keep paying attention, listening to Bill Press, reading BuzzFeed News, but stay tuned because things are really getting serious now. We're moving out of the silly season and into some really meaty stuff. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for listening.
This is the Bill Press Show.